Well, as we get closer and closer and closer to the college football playoffs, that's right, Diesel, these games on Saturday just become more and more consequential. The consequences continue to pour their way in, and that's where we're going in the very first segment of the show. We did it last week, and we're going to do it again today. There were some consequences. Sorry, Oklahoma, but for some of you teams last weekend for not being able to get it done. And there are going to be some games this weekend, Diesel, that are bearing a lot of weight in terms of these teams, not only their playoff hopes, but their coaches getting fired, etc. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson on this Hump Day edition of the show. So good to be with you. The Upset Picks Challenge begins in 1 hour from now. We've got a loaded show. Lou Bezjak of the State newspaper talking high school playoff projections at 3:20. Playoffs. We've got the Tolos responding to what Jack Velchery said, Diesel, yesterday. Bill Bender, a lot to get to. But here we go once again. Diesel, these games this Saturday have a lot of consequences because we're to the point now, unfortunately, where if you lose late in the season, ask Miami, the losses later in the year, for whatever reason, whether you like it or not, mean more than a loss early in the year.
Yeah, you just don't have the time to make up for it. If you lose now, especially in a game you're not supposed to lose, if it's a head-to-head matchup with a team that's about where you are in the rankings and you lose, no sweat. It's okay. You're going to be fine. But if you lose to a team that you're not supposed to lose to, and you only have 3 more opportunities against more bad teams because, come on, it's the ACC, and Miami is playing a schedule roughly equivalent to that of Burns High School. No disrespect to the Region 2 5A. I'm just saying you don't have the opportunity to look good against a quality opponent after that. But I want to know, Cole, before the show starts, really, how did we end up wearing the same color again? Because it happened earlier this week.
At least
we were both wearing
the same
white
shade, though.
It's not the same shade of blue, but like mine has got the same shade of yours in it. It's just not all the same color. That's crazy.
You probably do a lot better job coordinating your outfits than I do. I wake up.
Have you seen me?
Well, I'm just saying, like this morning, I had to go to Asheville, and I'm thinking, oh, it's cold. I'm going to put on some jeans. I walk in the closet. The first shirt that I see is the one that I normally wear. I don't spend much time deciding what to wear. I throw this on, throw a jacket on, out the door I go this morning. And look, Diesel, you're lucky that I have nice clothes on. I mean, the way that I get up in the morning and get out the door, I mean, you're lucky. It's a polo. It's collared. And Dewey says we look like twins. I think
thank you, Dewey.
That's a compliment, I guess. Right.
Well, maybe. They say that, when you get a dog, people start to look like their dogs. I guess when we spend more time together than I spend with my wife, we start to merge together. Yeah. You start growing that heavy beard, that's heavy stubble.
Oh, I'm going to Saturday.
Yeah.
No shave November.
Oh, you're doing it.
Yep. So I'm going to do it. I used to have a beard. I shaved it like a few months ago, and I've been rocking the baby face. But I think November. Yeah, Saturday's the 1st.
Every day is no shave November for me.
I know, but I shaved, and I liked the baby face. And now, Diesel, I'm going to let it grow out. But I'll tell you the worst is when you are in the day 3, and it's just so itchy. It's just so itchy. Oh, my God, it's the worst in the world. So once you get through that phase.
Got to push through it. Drink a beer, you'll be fine.
I'm going to start no shave November on Saturday. I might shave Friday, and that'll be the last time. So we'll see.
Madcraft says I look like your uncle from Alaska.
Oh, because of the
it's because of the
flannel.
Yeah, this flannel.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, I don't wear flannel much. I have some. It could be worse. We could look like Dewey.
Oh God. Do we know? We still don't know what Dewey looks like.
I think we all do. It's just we don't want to know.
So all right, enlighten us with Dewey right there. With Dewey as your witness, what does Dewey look like?
He's short. He's probably 234 pounds.
Wow.
And he's probably balding really bad. I can't make fun of that because I am too, but I think that's where I'd start. I don't know how we got down this road.
So like this.
No, that guy looks more put together than Dewey on the stream.
I mean, he's drinking a beer. There's a broken down Camaro,
but he looks like he has two legs, and he looks more put together. He just
two legs.
Yeah,
you think Dewey's got one leg?
Maybe he could.
Dewey's a pogo stick.
You never know what kind of things Dewey got into, and what kind of consequences they had on him. So speaking of consequences, this is where we go, Diesel. We're in week 10 already of college football, believe it or not. Week 10, 2 games last night. JMU, Cash, Kennesaw State, Cash, both favorites won last night. By the way, can I go down another rabbit hole here before we get into this?
Sure.
I think I was watching JMU last night. I think I've decided that James Madison has the best color scheme and jerseys in college football.
Really? The gold and the purple, right?
I think it's just clean, man. I love it. I love the logo. I love the purple and the gold. To your point, I want JMU swag now. And I said that last night watching the game, man. I'm thinking these guys have the best color scheme. I know that's an off-season conversation, but don't you love it? I mean, they might be up there.
It's like LSU colors, but it's old gold. You know, it's gold because everybody else who uses
it is old gold.
Is yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa says they're black and gold. They're not. They're black and yellow.
Iowa's not gold.
App State says they're black and gold. They're not gold. They're black and yellow.
Yeah, that Pittsburgh flag behind you on the wall over your left shoulder, that's yellow. That's not gold. There's a difference. And I like JMU, man. You're right. It's an old gold. I think their color scheme, by the way, they're really good. It's not just like I like their color scheme. Yeah, that looks more like him. That does look more like
JB says he thinks Dewey looks like Chris Farley in Black Sheep.
That does look more like Dewey, no doubt. They might be related. But JMU's Diesel, they won 52-20 last night. This is a good football team out of the Sun Belt. They're probably going to win the conference since you're a Sun Belt guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. They're really, really good. They're going to have to go through Southern Miss.
Y'all have a conference championship game?
Yeah, they still do.
Okay.
They still do. James Madison, now they let Texas State back into that game. That was a ball game at halftime. I think it was 28-20 when I opened up my scores app.
Mm-hmm.
And then James Madison just poured it on them in the second half. And James Madison is doing a phenomenal job at this point, Cole, getting quality coach after quality coach after quality coach. They've gone through at least 3 or 4 straight head coaching hires from their FCS transition to now, where they have hit again and again and again. Those guys didn't necessarily, not all of them, panned out after they left. Looking at you, Mike Houston, over at East Carolina.
Yeah, I hate that.
But Kurt Signetti is phenomenal at Indiana, and he took most of those guys with him. It is mind-boggling that James Madison was able to lose what they lost.
Yeah.
As far as coaching staff, head coach, and some players to Indiana, and then just regroup with all of it. New head coach, a lot of new players. They hit the ground running. It helps that they have the largest athletic budget in the conference, and they have astronomically high student fees to cover some of their football costs. But hey, all that matters is that they're winning on the field. They're winning on the field.
That's a good school, good program. Texter Jersey Joe says Dewey is a combination of Bobby Hill and Homer Simpson. That's funny. That's a good text, Jersey Joe. Diesel, I have the first consequential game this weekend.
Okay.
It's at noon o'clock on Saturday. It's number 9 Vandy in Austin, Texas at DKR, taking on the number 20th ranked Texas Longhorns. Again, 6-2 Texas, 7-1 Vandy. Both of these teams are 3-1 in the SEC. And I believe, Diesel, that the loser of this game, especially if it's Texas, is going to find themselves in a tough spot. Meaning, I believe this is a very, very, very consequential game. Texas already has 2 losses. If they fall to 6-3, then we're talking about that bubble really expanding, and it might be in trouble, right?
They fall to 6-3, and I don't even think that the aura around Arch Manning can get them back into the conversation. Like, they lose this game. Granted, they still have 2 top 5 opportunities before the season is over: Georgia and Texas A&M.
Yeah, but man,
there's a chance. I mean, at best, they go 1-2 in those 3 games, and that's including the Vanderbilt game. They're going to beat Arkansas. no problem. But if they lose 2 more games along the way, they're a 4-loss team, and they are so far out of the conversation, they're not even going to finish the season ranked.
That's what I'm getting at. And, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago about a 3-loss SEC team and where they would find themselves, Diesel, when the season concludes. I just don't know that Texas at 3-loss is going to get the benefit of the doubt. I think a 3-loss Texas team, and to your point, they still have some tough games in there. I think it's going to be extremely difficult for Texas to somehow, some way rebound. And I think not only this game, but you mentioned those other 2. Who were they against for Texas?
Georgia and Texas A&M.
Oh my gosh.
And let me see. I didn't look at that one.
There's just no way they get into the college football playoff, is there? With these 2 losses already?
I don't. I mean, if they lose on Saturday, then they are a 3-loss team. And then they're probably losing one more of Georgia and Texas A&M.
100% losing.
Georgia's on the road.
Yeah.
A&M is at home.
A&M will beat them today. I'm telling you, if they played today, A&M would beat them.
Yeah.
And they lost to Ohio State, and they lost to Florida by 8.
They have to win out. They have to win out. That's their only chance, and they're not winning out.
And then they have the SEC championship game. They could look if they were to somehow make, which they're not going to. But I'm saying that, to your point, I think you look at Texas as a team with 2 losses and think, man, every game is their season from this point forward, Diesel. And if they lose Saturday, or to your point, if they lose one more game, Texas's season is done. Mm-hmm. I just don't see it happening. Now, on the flip side, Vanderbilt's only a 1-loss team. But here's where I think this conversation really gets fun. Does Vanderbilt have enough brand power at 2 losses? And granted, we know they still have a few more games to play this season. But if Vandy loses Saturday, Diesel, to Texas, which they could, they'll go to 7-2, 3-2 in conference. Does a Vanderbilt team have enough brand power to rebound and make their way into the college football playoff going into week 11 with 2 losses?
No, I don't think so.
I think this might be the biggest game of the weekend, right?
It could be.
Is there a game that has more on the line than this one?
Now, Vandy gets past Texas. They've got Auburn, Kentucky, and on the road at Tennessee, an in-state matchup on the road.
Ooh.
That's going to be a tough one. Let's pretend for a second that Vandy wins this game, and then Auburn, Kentucky. You can't pencil anything in the SEC, but you can pretty much pencil that one in. Be a 5-game win streak with Tennessee coming up, and that's a playoff bound kind of game.
It is, but the problem with that game is it's just what I said 10 minutes ago. The timing of that game's horrible.
It's tough.
Like, the worst thing you could have to do is play Tennessee the last game of the year, because let's say you're right, they win Saturday against Texas and win those next 2 against Kentucky, and who'd you say the other one was? Auburn. They lose to Tennessee. They're still a 2-loss team, and the playoff committee is going to look, well, what'd you do recently? Oh, you lost to Tennessee. Vandy could get shafted. I'm sitting here looking,
and that would be tough to watch as a college football fan, given the story of Diego Pavia. This is his last ride.
Yeah,
you would want. Yeah, no, unless he gets another year of eligibility.
I'm just looking at this slate this weekend. I'm looking at this game thinking, man, I can't find a game on here yet that I think might be more consequential than Vandy, Texas, because we've talked about it on both sides. And Vanderbilt's, I think you look at this game as a must win, because if you lose to Texas, Diesel, and then you lose to Tennessee and you're a 3-loss team, you're not getting in. You're not getting in the college football playoff. And then their one loss was to Alabama, right? They lost that game pretty handily.
Not a bad loss.
Not a bad loss at all. So you don't count that one against them.
They lost by 16. They lost by 2 touchdowns.
Did they?
On the road.
No.
That's not a bad loss.
No, it's
Alabama,
not.
It's not a bad loss.
It's not. You can't afford much, man. Even though the playoffs expanded, you can't afford much. Next, go ahead.
JB on the stream says, I don't know why Clark Lee's name isn't being thrown around for some of these big-time job openings. JB, the reason for that is Clark Lee is 23 and 34 and only has 1 complete winning season. He's going to have 2 at the end of this year. That is extremely commendable, and that's kind of what got James Franklin the Penn State job.
Yeah.
I understand wanting Clark Lee to get a big time opportunity. I think it's still a year too early. And can he do it with another quarterback that's not named Diego Pavia? He's only done it with Diego Pavia. Once he gets somebody else in there, and I think he's done a tremendous job raising the profile of Vanderbilt. I think he's going to get another good quarterback. And if it's a transfer guy, fine. We don't know who that may be yet. If he can do it one more time, he's going to have basically his pick of the litter next year.
How consequential is this one? Also at noon, Madcraft's Miami Hurricanes, Diesel, are in Dallas taking on SMU. SMU is not a bad team. Now, Miami's favored by 12.5 points on Saturday. It's 6-1 Miami, 5-3 SMU. Here's why I think this game might be consequential. Miami plays in the ACC, right? Newsflash. Everybody knows that, but you dropped to 6-2, and you're lost to SMU again late in the year. All of a sudden, looks like one of those 2024 blemishes that you had several times last year. Diesel, the ACC is not going to get the benefit of the doubt. That's just that's fact. It's not going to happen. As much as we want it to, somebody from the ACC is going to get shafted. And if Miami loses Saturday, that's going to hurt them. I think this game against SMU could be very consequential.
I think SMU covers because consider the fact that
it's a lot of
being
points,
a noon Eastern kick, that's an 11 a.m. Central Time
same thing, man.
Kickoff. That's an 11 a.m. kick. Miami has to travel a time zone, and they have to kick off at 11 a.m. A weird time, throws you out of your rhythm when you're on the road. I think there's a real opportunity here for SMU to get the upset. I'm not calling it outright.
Upset pick.
I'm not calling it. I'm not calling it, but I'm not hating it either. I think SMU covers this spread. They're really good.
I did too. 12.5 is a lot of points at home. I always like a home dog. I just look at Miami and think, man, we made so much fun of you last year because you had too many hiccups, right? Down the stretch, and you just can't have it again, can you? You can't, Diesel. And this team, if they lose to SMU after losing to Louisville, they're in hot water.
Well, they got nobody left. Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, Pitt. You blow all those teams out by 40 points each. Nobody cares. Nobody bats an eye. Yawn. Move on.
Yeah, so I look at this one and I think Miami, you better take care of business on the road.
Got to.
I really do.
Last opportunity to look good. They win this one, they're going to win out. They're going to be in the college football playoff. But if they lose this one, that makes for a really interesting conversation, especially when, there's only two or three elite teams this year.
I'm going to throw one more at you as we run the break. Just a what if. Just a what if here. Since we went with a 12.5 point game, let's keep it 12.5 points. Mm-hmm. What if Saturday night at 7 p.m. South Carolina upsets Ole Miss? A 12.5 point favorite, by the way. Ole Miss would then Diesel be 7-2 on the season. Lane Kiffin needs this one. I know it's just South Carolina, but boy, all of these are super important if you're a one-loss SEC team right now.
Man, there's an opportunity for this to be a run-your-mouth game for Lane Kiffin and for Shane Beamer, but Shane's too nice. Shane's not going to do that, at least not until after the game. I hope that Lane Kiffin can bait him into it, get him talking over the course of the week, get him angry. That's what Lane Kiffin needs to do. They're not going to lose this game, Cole.
I know.
History is very much on Ole Miss's side. We're going to get into this. I think I've got it slated for the 4:45 segment. When South Carolina plays a tough game against a ranked opponent, close, what do they do the follow-up week? Can they bounce back? Can they use that as a catalyst to win the following week? We'll get into the history of have they not been successful doing that. When we come back, let's keep it at football, but let's move to the high school level and talk to Lou Bezjak of the State newspaper. He's going to talk all things South Carolina high school football, playoff projections, and everything in between. That's next. Well, everybody is jockeying for position in the final week of high school football regular season tonight. A lot on the line, or tomorrow night, excuse me. A lot on the line for Burns High School, Cole, as they face
Boiling Springs Friday.
On Friday. We're going to get to our high school football expert, the man to talk to in the state of South Carolina when it comes to high school football, besides Cole, of course. Lou Bezjak of
Lou's
the
better
state
than me.
Newspaper. Lou, how many years of this of covering high school football does this make for you? And is it hard to have one stand out as just an exceptional, exciting high school season? And kind of where does this one land in your general memory of covering high school football?
I think this is 25 years, 23 in South Carolina. So yeah, they're all pretty good, and it's good this time of the year, the last week of the season, and just I don't remember a week where so much was on the line as far as last week of the season, and some teams that haven't been here in a while. You look at teams like Indian Land playing Northwestern. Who would have thought that would be so much riding on that one? And you got Irmo Dutch Fork for 2 years in a row, and it's going to be a great week. And just and then Saturday when the brackets come out, kind of looking them over and seeing what kind of playoffs. I think we're going to have a pretty wide open postseason. And
that's why we're having you on, man. You're right. You said it, a very consequential week on Friday, as there are some games tomorrow as well, with Halloween being on Friday. We have a Wren Westside tomorrow night as a region championship. Let me ask you this, man. For those out there listening in the upstate that may not understand the weekend that we're about to see in high school football and just how some of those scenarios could play out, to your point, you look at a game like Dutch Fork Irmo. You also mentioned Indian Land. What jumps off the page to you that really you think could be a deciding factor in terms of how far a certain team could go, that we might see it go this way, we might see it go that way, just depending on what happens Friday night?
Yeah, you look at Dutch Fork's Irmo, for instance. Dutch Fork, both teams are going to get a first-round bye, but you look, if Dutch Fork loses and Dorman wins on Friday, Dorman will have home field advantage throughout the playoffs, and Dutch Fork would have to go there, assuming Dorman continues to win. Irmo is kind of in a better spot. Win or lose, I think they're the number one overall seed, because even if they finish second, Division II lower state, there's no region champions in that bracket, and Irmo is by far the highest in the RPI. Indian Land Northwestern, and that's for it. I mean, it's number one. It's for region championship and the number one overall seed and 5A Division II playoffs. I mean, they're 1 and 2. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. I don't see either of them getting leaped for sure. So those two kind of stand out. We got another one, Camden and AC Flora. That's for second place in 4A. But the top two teams the second place finishers in all the regions, top two are guaranteed. And then they start seeding by RPI then. So you lose that, you lose a chance for a second home playoff game if you lose that game on tomorrow night, because we got a bunch of games on Thursday night here as well.
Lou, is there a team or two, especially here in the upstate, but statewide as well, across all different classifications, that you think has kind of that puncher's chance, a team that has acquitted themselves well, played well when they're punching up a little bit, that pretty much nobody on the tippy tops of these brackets, 1, 2, kind of wants to see them come up in their bracket?
We're talking about upstate teams, you said?
Upstate or the entire state.
Yeah, I mean, you look, I think Teal-Hannah's kind of in a good spot. I'm kind of curious to Greenwood and Division 5. I think they're so athletic in that, and they can make things happen. And the way Dorman, the way they played last week, I mean, that's an impressive showing, and I think they really kind of turned some heads by the shutout win last week as well. In our area, like I said, Irma, Dutch Fork, I think Newberry. I mean, they're right there. They have a chance to have an undefeated regular season. They're in 3A, but they have a chance to make some noise. I think Oceanside's still the favorite in 3A, but I mean, from the upper state, I think Newberry has a chance to maybe get there to play for a state championship.
Lou, when you look at the latest statewide media poll that you can find on the fanupstate.com for any of those Tolos out there listening that have not had a chance to look at it, Irmo 1, Northwestern 2, Dutch Fork 3, Greenwood, Somerville, James Island, Indian Land, Hannah at 8, Sumter at 9, Dorman at 10. when you look at that top 10 right there in 5A, first of all, man, so many good teams and still so many good teams on the outside looking in. Of those 10, which of those do you feel like has a legitimate chance of hoisting the trophy in Class 5A? We know there's two divisions, Division I and Division II, so there will be two 5A state champions. But you've seen a lot of football, obviously more in the Midlands this year. But who do you feel like has a legitimate puncher's chance of bringing it home this year?
I think Dutch Fork, Irmo. I think Dorman has a good chance. I think no one saw kind of James Island. They're going to come out of. I think they have a good chance to come out of the lower James Island, Somerville, coming out of the 5A Division I lower state. Another team that and not in that top 10, Carolina Forest. And Sumter just came in the rankings. I got to see them last week. They played a heck of a game, beating Ridgeview, who I still think has a chance to make some noise in the playoffs. But Sumter, kind of team no one's talking about. They lost early to White Knoll, and I think they have a really good shot. The way they run the ball, their defense is kind of suspect, but they can put up some points, and they did that against Ridgeview on Friday.
Lou, I'm going to ask you kind of a big picture question that's kind of got a lot of different facets to it. With this being the last year of the current alignment and classification, and they're going to look at it at the end of the year and kind of shake some things up a little bit. Number one, do you think every other year is a little too often to realign this thing? And number two, can you kind of just go through the priorities of the South Carolina High School League and what they're looking to accomplish with reclassification? Are they trying to put more power programs with more power programs, or are they trying to make each region relatively equal with a mix of A tier, B tier, and C tier programs?
Yeah, I think maybe every 3 years might be a little bit better to do realignment, but you got some new schools in that coming in, so it's kind of good to. I mean, every two is fine. I think this year you're seeing a shift. Last realignment, you saw it was top heavy, and they decided to split 5A with, you got 54 teams. I think it's going to be the opposite. This realignment, I think you're going to see 60, 65, 70 teams, maybe Class A. I think Class A could be split like that, and I think you're going to see smaller classifications up in the bigger ones and then you could see maybe 40 in the 30s for 3A, 4A, 5A. So I think it's going to be a little bit different, maybe a little bit back to what, they used to have the Big 16 and then the other groups. So I think you're going to see that. And I also think you're going to see, we kind of saw it now with the Division 1, 5A Division 1, 5A Division 2 teams in same region, but and I think you're going to see that now. You're going to have 5A teams and 4A teams in the same region. And I think all classifications will probably go to the RPI as well to decide for the postseason to make things simpler. I think that's going to be more. We see it in 5A, 4A, and 3A kind of changes the way brackets a little bit too. But I think you're going to see RPI kind of be the decisive thing going forward.
Now, Lou,
that's my opinion.
Yeah. Help me out with something I've heard when it comes to reclassification at the end of the year. I've heard different things in terms of how they reclass, if they go from the top to the bottom or if they reclass starting at the bottom and work their way to the top. I've heard this conversation a few times in the past few weeks with schools that may be on the fringe of like 5A. Take, for example, like a Gaffney, who is one of the smaller schools in 5A that could be on the fringe of falling to 4A. Does the reclassification and where they start and how they reclass determine and dictate who could be moved down to 4A? I've also heard that with Northwestern as well.
Yeah, that does, and we look at Irmo too. They're kind of like in the mix. They're in Division 2, so they could maybe drop to 4A as well. And then sometimes you could petition if you want to. Some schools they may be classified in 4A. Maybe they want to move to 5A just so they could have play teams closer. That has geography also has things to do with it as far as region placement and that. I think they're, like I said, I think they're going to build from the bottom up, and last time it was the top down. So I think you're going to see more of a Class A as long as they want to make sure that you could have enough for state championships and stuff other than football, the other sports. because 1A and 2A has, doesn't have a lot of soccer programs, stuff like that, volleyball. So I think they're one of making sure that they have enough to host championships that way. So like I said, I think you're going to see about maybe 36, 40 team, like 5A, 4A. At least that's my opinion. It could change. And I mean, we'll see, probably get a better picture in the next few weeks. And then I think they said first thing go out maybe right around Christmas break as far as the classification part, and then they can start breaking things down in the regions from there.
So, Lou, a school that comes up fairly regularly when we talk about, man, they just get a tough draw around here is Wade Hampton. They have to go play a powerhouse schedule week in and week out, and they have struggled over the years to kind of maintain against that kind of schedule. Is that a school that you think could try to petition to drop down into a classification to give them a chance to be successful? Because I don't think anybody wants to see any high school program just be a perennial punching bag that way, like that.
Yeah. Hopefully they can drop in. And also, it just depends too. The multiplier. Where are they getting their students from? A lot of these schools might be smaller as far as the enrollment, but you're getting your kids outside of the classification, outside of your district. And so you want to see that. We have a school down here, Dreer. It's kind of the same way. Most they're kind of competitive in 4A, but if they were dropped down to 3A, they could be a lot more competitive. Richland Northeast also kind of falls into that predicament as well. Yeah, you hate that. You want to kind of have these teams kind of on a level playing field with, the same amount of around the same amount of students. It's not going to be perfect anytime, but
Lou, to kind of follow up to that, I'm sure there's somebody out there listening today that doesn't understand how the multiplier works, because to Diesel's question about Wade Hampton, you answered by bringing up the multiplier. Can you go into depth on that and how that might hurt a school like Wade Hampton?
Yeah, every school has an attendance zone in your district, and every student that comes outside of your attendance zone counts as 3 students. So if you're a school, I don't know if they have a magnet program that kids are going there as far as, out of district kids that want to study, and as far as academics, and that's kind of what it's there for. And it doesn't take into consideration if these kids are athletes. That was a thing brought up. Hey, why don't you use the multiplier only if the kids are playing sports, which, that could possibly be done, but I think that will be kind of tough to judge, but that or decreasing the multiplier maybe to 2 instead of 3, that's also a possibility as well.
Just curious, Lou, I know that we talked about this a lot last year when we were in the high school boys and girls basketball tournaments. What's going on with the venues this year? Is everything squared away the way that it should be and to everybody's liking?
Yeah, football, everything's at SC State for another year, at least one more year. South Carolina was not an option because construction, as soon as the Clemson game's over, they're going to start construction. I don't even know next year. We'll see where they stand with the construction. Basketball, lower state championships will remain in Florence. The upper state is going to be at neutral site of the 2 teams choosing. I don't know if you'll have multiple games there. And then the state championships will be back at Colonial Life Arena, I believe, over a 3-day span because of the extra classifications. You're going to play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So yeah, everything they worked hard. I know some of the people were involved to get things back to Colonial Life, and they tried it with Florence, the one site thing. And obviously there was a lot of objection and everything. And we'll see how things go in upstate as far as if you get maybe 2 or couple games at one site. I don't know how that's all going to work. I think you'll know more towards when the playoffs. It just depends on what teams can agree on, and they'll have a few days to work things out and get sites and venues. It'll be a little different, but I think the smaller venues and maybe bigger crowds, that way you won't have as much travel. So I think everyone is hoping this works out a little bit better.
Lou, real quick, a couple to throw at you from the text line. RJ says, question for Lou, what are his thoughts on Region 2 5A and how things have played out? And also to tag along with that, texter from the 803 says, so who does Dorman need to win for Irmo or Dutch Fork? Not really sure the question there. I guess he's asking he or she is asking who would Dorman rather
If you're
win.
a Dorman fan, you want Irmo to beat Dutch Fork.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, so that way Dutch Fork will be a 2 seed, and assuming Dorman beats Eastside.
Sure.
I mean, right? Dorman plays
That's
Eastside,
right.
correct?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So but if Dorman's the region champ and Dutch Fork is not, I think they will be they have the highest RPI of the region champion. And what was the other one as far as
he was just asked. RJ was asking your thoughts on how Region 2 5A is shaking out.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think? How do you think it's shaking out for you guys? Is it gone? Kind of. I mean, it's kind of been crazy.
The
right?
SEC, you know.
Yeah, they're just beating up on each other. I mean, and I think that's going to help these teams going forward. Teams that have tougher regions and played. Yeah. I think you're going to be tested. And less like games like this weekend, Irmo, Dutch Fork. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to see each other again in the playoffs, but they might not play a team as good as they're going to play this weekend as well, possibly. So I think it benefits playing in better regions. And I know, I mean, that region is awesome, Region 2 5A. So, yeah, it's been fun to see how things have gone there.
Lou, just out of curiosity for myself, because I've never thought to ask this question of Cole, and I don't think I've ever asked you this question either. Why do the South Carolina high school leagues not use Clemson as a site for state championships? Is it just because of its location in the far northwest corner of the state, or is it availability or travel, or why would they not use that venue?
That's far. They did one. I think since I've been doing this, they've done it twice. And a few years ago, I mean, I forget to get the guy's name that had the proposal at one of the meetings. They're trying to make a big deal to get the championships there, make things a little bit bigger deal. I think giving teams travel money, but it's just, I think one of the years, I think Bluffton made the championship, and they had to go Bluffton all the way to Clemson. That's a pretty much of a haul. I think it's just more. I mean, Orangeburg, Columbia, it's kind of centrally located. You don't have as many big football stadiums too. Citadel, I guess, but I don't think Citadel is an option. So I think middle of the state's kind of good. And even though COVID year, I mean, we had Spring Valley, which has a pretty big stadium. It's just parking's the issue there. They were able to host a state championship game. I remember when Daniel and Camden played in 3A, and Benedict's hosted as well. It's just more neutral site. I mean, Clemson would be a fine site. I think it's just, I mean, a lot of the teams coming from, if you get a team from like Myrtle Beach or the Low Country coming up, it's just a far haul.
And then 2008, Burns-Dorman state championship at Clemson with Marcus Lattimore, with Burns and Dorman rematch for the state championship. So It doesn't happen much. Lou, real quick, one more texter ask, will there be 2 divisions in 5A next year?
I do not think so. I think if we have 2 divisions, it's going to be in Class A. I don't think you're going to have a 2 split like you are. That was the agreement. That's why I think it's going to be a smaller 5A. Like I said, it's 54 this year time. I think maybe 40. You're going to be looking at 40, and it's more of a normal and manageable. You don't need to split if it's like that. That's my opinion. That's what I've understood so far. Things may change, but from my understanding, that's what we're going to see.
Lou, you're the best. Have fun. I'm assuming you're at Irmo Dutch Fork Friday, right?
Correct. And Camden AC Floor on Thursday. Yep.
Who wins Irmo Dutch Fork? Probably the biggest game in the state Friday night. Who wins?
It's hard to pick against Tom Knotts, but I mean, I've seen both a couple times. I'm going to go Irmo close.
I like it. Thanks, Lou. Appreciate you, man.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Lou Bezjak, the state newspaper. It's going to be a big, big game on Friday. And I think he's right. I think Irmo has a good shot, but man, lot to unpack from that, Diesel. That was good stuff from
Wealth of
Lou.
knowledge.
Wealth of knowledge he is. We've got to get to the headlines, the Daily Wires. That's next. It's time to get into the headlines of what's happening. We call them Daily Wires. It's the buzz. The Blue Jays. How about those Blue Jays? Diesel defeated the Dodgers 6-2 on Tuesday night and have tied the World Series at 2 games apiece. Shohei was fantastic. He pitched 6 innings, 6 hits, 4 earned runs. Shane Beamer was more. Did I say Beamer?
You did say Beamer.
Shane Bieber was more fantastic. Pitched 5.1, only giving up 4 and 1 run in Game 5 tonight.
That game was huge for Toronto because it just proves that they can beat them on their home field.
Big man
with quote unquote less talent. Obviously, the Blue Jays are an extremely good baseball team, but beating that plethora of talent on the road is massive.
Huge. Game 5 tonight at 8:00. Again, series tied 2-2. Can we somehow, some way, please get a Game 7? I would cry. Now, oh, by the way, Blake Snell on the mound tonight for the Dodgers. Diesel. Trey Yesovich on the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays. We might be. I think we might have to pull for the Blue Jays tonight. Trey Yesovich is a former Pirate of ECU. The East Carolina Pirate Trey Yesovich on the mound tonight in the World Series. The New England Patriots traded away 2 former defensive starters Tuesday night, sending defensive end Keon White to the 49ers and safety Kyle Duggar to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sources told ESPN they acquired a 26th sixth-round pick from the Niners. The Upset Picks Challenge begins in literally, 9 minutes from right now. Diesel, you ready? You rocking and rolling? You nervous? I'm nervous. The regular season of high school football concludes this Friday. Burns 6-3 on the road at Boiling Springs, whose 4-5 pregame show on Friday night at 7 p.m. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey sent a memo to the NCAA President Charlie Baker Saturday expressing concerns about a rule change that would allow players to bet on professional sports. Yesterday, Diesel, the NCAA decided to delay that rule change, pushing the effective date from November 1st to November 22nd.
How about that?
So pushing it off.
Greg says, I want it. Greg gets it.
That's right. I got time for a few more here. Despite multiple high-profile season-ending injuries to Tyreek Hill, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Malik Neighbors, and Cam Scatterbo, whatever it is, and possibly Mike Evans, fans voted in a
Quinnipiac.
What is this? A Quinnipiac poll in favor. What does that mean?
Well, it's a university that I figured you might know it based on the university. Quinnipiac makes the NCAA tournament fairly often, but it's just a polling company.
Oh, that's weird.
A research poll company.
So they voted in a poll and they're in favor of more games.
Yep.
I've never heard of that school, by the way. They make the NCAA tournament in basketball?
Quinnipiac University is in Connecticut.
What a weird name. Imagine telling somebody you go to Quinnipiac. That sounds weird. Last night, Diesel, the Hornets fell to the Heat, 144-117. Brandon Miller still out of the lineup. LaMelo Ball led the team with 20 points. Con Knippel had 19.
Con's playing really well for Charlotte.
Last night, the Carolina Hurricanes fell to the visiting Las Vegas Golden Knights 6-3 after giving up 4 third-period goals. And last one for you, President Donald Trump's granddaughter, Kai Trump, is set to make her LPGA Tour debut after receiving a controversial sponsor exemption. The 18-year-old golfer who has committed to play at Miami will compete in the Annika at the Pelican Golf Club from November 13th to 16th. Despite her limited competitive experience, Kai has a significant social media following and is eager to compete against her golfing heroes. How about that?
I've used my position once or twice in radio to get somewhere I probably shouldn't be, and hey, use it, girl. Go out there and perform.
Are we going to see her and Charlie Woods ever paired up together? I think that'd be a interesting duo there.
Do they do like a mixed doubles event somewhere? I'm sure somewhere does. Somebody does.
They should be interesting.
There you go.
Those are your daily wires.
Those are your daily wires. Yeah. When we come back, Cole, it is time for you Tolos to get us your upset picks. Who do you like to get that big upset this weekend? Week 10 upset picks coming up next. Who are you hitching your wagon to for week 10 of the Upset Picks Challenge? Now is your chance to start sending them to us. 844-326-3663 is our text line. Send us your name, your game, and the spread. Corn Chip getting smart. Corn Chip's texting in and said, I'm not taking App State. Well, joke's on you, Corn Chip. App State doesn't play this weekend. And the truth is, I did not know that because I'm so disgusted with my team. I didn't even bother to look up their schedule to know that they were on a bye week.
Wow.
So if you need proof of where I am as a fan, God, the floodgates are open and here they come, man. It's like Black Friday when they've got $50 TVs for sale.
I love it.
Woo!
I love it. Let's go.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, Tolos, clearly this is your first time listening to the show, and welcome. Thanks for being here for the very first time. We have this little thing called the Upset Picks Challenge, and it's presented by Ingles Markets, and of course, we appreciate their sponsorship of this fantastic challenge every single year. It's a challenge because there's no prizes. It's not a contest unless there's prizes.
Not yet, by God.
Not
yet.
We're working on it, okay? Well, all we need is the will to get it done, and then we can do all the work required to make it legal for us to have prizes. But this is a rolling season-long challenge where you're trying to end the season with as many points as possible. What you do every single week is you go to ESPN.com. That is the official website that we use for our lines. Starting at 3 o'clock on Wednesdays is when we lock those lines in, and then you can text us with your name, your game, and the spread while we're during show hours, and find a game that you think the betting underdog wins the game outright. We're not betting against the spread. We're winning. You're trying to win the game outright. So you would go to ESPN.com. You would look at the spreads and see that, for example, NC State is a 5.5-point home dog to number 8 Georgia Tech. If you think that is a likely upset, then you would text us at 844-FAN-PHONE with your name. You would say Georgia Tech at NC State plus 5.5. That means you think that NC State will win the game, and if they do, you get 5.5 points, and you try to stack them all season long to finish with as many points as possible.
It sucks. I hate it. It's the worst.
Come on, man.
It's the worst.
God,
you can talk
negative
it
Nancy.
Sucks.
When did Lonzo start producing this show?
I'm telling you, it's so bad. I hate it. I hate losing. I can't stand to lose, and I've lost just about every time except for twice. I've hit 2 times this year. Thanks to Cal, I didn't hit last week.
You're not going to take them again this week?
No, I'm done with them. Those freaking idiots
They're
in Cal,
home this
man.
week. You said you love a home dog.
Not anymore.
Oh.
And look, I was so close. I think when you hit in the Upset Picks Challenge, you feel like, man, I've done something.
I'm a genius.
But when you can do it 2 weeks in a row, man, you feel like you really figured this thing out. And I was watching that game last Friday night or following along on my phone, and they were leading big, and Virginia Tech just came back, and Cal choked.
Well,
double
at least you're
overtime.
Close. I'm not even close.
See, so the close, we're not playing, horseshoes here.
Well,
You know
you're in the best place to be. You're in 69th place.
Am I really?
14 points, tied with Hurricane Jeff, Spartanburg Jay, and Tennessee Tyler.
Let's go.
On the other hand, am way back there in 110th with only 3.5 points. I feel like I'm making intelligent picks week after week
You're
after week.
sending them all to your wife. That's the problem.
It's why it's so dang frustrating. My wife doesn't
Send her
even
App
watch
State
football
this week.
She is currently in 5th place with 44.5 points. 5th place, and she doesn't even watch football. I just give her my early leans that we go through on Tuesdays, and somehow, some way, she has picked the right one every single time.
And that means that you were that close to picking the right one.
Yep.
What's good is the upset picks are flooding in on the Hub City Spartanburgers text line, 844-326-3663. Let's get a few new Tolos involved on this rainy, miserable-looking hump day edition of the show. But, Texter, don't do this because this is where I was about to go. Texter says, I've reached a point where the upset picks challenge isn't fun anymore.
Oh, stop
I'm out.
Don't be a loser.
Texter, Diesel is near the bottom. He still goes.
Yeah.
You still got to give it a shot, man. You can't just give up.
That's like saying that the first girl you asked out in high school said no to you, so you just stop talking to girls forever.
Well,
that's incel talk, sir, and we will not have that on this show.
Unfortunately, there are people every year that do that. We see a slight dip in the numbers, as the year goes on. But look, I hit a couple of weeks ago and catapulted in a big, big way for 9.5 points when SMU took down Clemson. So don't be that guy. Don't be the guy that says, I'm done, I'm out. Be like Mad Max. Be like Tennessee Tyler, Boomer Bill, Tolo Steve, Mason Brew, Big Ron, Kane, JT and Greer, Corn Chip. Be like them and get your upset picks in. 844-326-3663. Diesel, I guess this is good news because my pick that's not going to hit hasn't been submitted yet, but I have no idea. I have no idea. No,
so we did some early leans yesterday.
I know, but I screenshotted 2 last night.
Okay.
I screenshotted 2.
I just want to let all these Tolos know, and this texter says they're out. There are still, Cole, I counted this up. There are still 10 more weeks of picks. 10 more chances.
You can get in the top 20.
I could end with 0
yeah,
also, but you can make a quick run up to the top half of this thing. 10 more weeks. So there's 7 more regular season weeks. Then we've got the conference championship week. Then we've got pre and post Christmas bowls, and the post Christmas bowls include the college football playoff first round.
Yeah, that's right. Here's the 2 I screenshotted last night. We talked about these yesterday, Diesel, on the show. I'm looking at 4:00 on Saturday, Mississippi State and Arkansas.
Good choice.
We talked about that one.
10 straight losses combined between the two of them. Somebody's got to win.
Is that right? Is that true? Oh, dear God.
But
Never mind.
Mississippi State's losing to good teams.
Does somebody have to win that game, though? You would think.
We don't have ties. This is America, Jack. We don't do ties.
Unless you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, we tied over the Packers.
I think they should. I think they should be stripped of the moniker America's team.
Well, it is what it is.
That's just marketing. They're not really America's team. They just started calling themselves that.
Diesel, it's marketing. It's marketing. Yes, you're right. Mississippi State, by the way, is a 4.5-point underdog to the Arkansas Razorbacks.
That game
it's in Arkansas.
Okay.
And then I'm also looking at Cincinnati, Utah. Cincinnati, 7-1.
Palmetto Buckeyes just texted in with the same game.
Oh, did he?
So Palmetto Buckeyes, you might want to change your pick. If Cole,
that's true. And he said 10.5 points. Is it? Geez, I have it at 8.5. Did that sucker move 2 points overnight?
That game is now it's 10.5 points.
No,
it's 10.5.
Last night when I screenshotted this, it was literally 8.5. So it's moved 2 points. What am I missing here?
So something going on with
what's the matchup for
Cincinnati? 19.5% chance for Cincinnati to win this game.
God.
So the over-under is set at 55.5. That means they're predicting somewhere in the range of like a 30-20, 32-23 type game.
Oh my gosh. What about so why is Cincinnati so are they just overranked? Is that what it is?
Well, they got a really good quarterback. Their quarterback, Brendan Sorsby, Cole, has so far on the season 1,843 yards, 20 touchdowns, 1 interception, takes really good care of the football. This might be the best team Scott Satterfield has ever had in a power conference.
I can't figure it out, and that's why it kind of worries me a little bit. I kind of want to stay away from it. I don't know, man. There are 2 games tonight, by the way. There are 2 games tonight. If you wanted to take one of the 2 games tonight for the Upset Picks Challenge, you've got Middle Tennessee. That's Derek Mason, right? Well, I think we hit that yesterday. Middle Tennessee hosting Jacksonville State and Florida International at Missouri State. The Jacksonville State Middle Tennessee game is a 3.5-point spread in favor of Jacksonville State. Okay. And Missouri State's favored by 3.5 at home. Any interest in those 2 burners?
No, I don't know anything about any of those teams. I stay away from action because it's just not entertaining. But Let's see. RJ is taking Coastal Carolina plus 5.5 over Marshall.
Hey, I looked at that one too.
With that quarterback that Coastal put in last week, he's good. He's really good. Marshall also pretty good this year. I like that one. I
looked at that one, RJ.
So far, the most commonly picked game is this Wake Forest plus 9.5 over Florida State. Do we think that Florida State is that bad? Like, has Tommy Castellanos shut himself down?
Yeah, I think they're that bad.
Ooh.
I really do. Let's see what Dalvin is going to take in the Upset Picks Challenge. 844-326-3663. If you also want to be like Dalvin and call your upset pick in, you can do so. Phone lines are open. Dalvin, what are you thinking this week, man?
Give me the Bearcats of Cincinnati plus 8.5 over Utah.
Guess what? It's now 10.5.
Well, 10.5 now over Utah.
Is that crazy or what, man?
Yeah, that's crazy. The ranked team is the underdog.
I know.
Yeah.
That worries me, though.
Hey, yeah, that worried me too, because we saw this happen last time. They were favored over Texas Tech. We saw what Texas Tech what they did to them.
But Utah's got a heck of a home field advantage, though. They've always had a really strong fan presence.
Yeah, but Utah wasn't there. Utah what Texas Tech did to them, though, man. They wouldn't blew them out. They weren't even close.
Dalvin, what's wrong with our Cowboys, man?
I have no idea, man.
Oh, defense. How is Matt Eberflus? How's he still have a job?
I think he got pictures on Jerry Jones. I think he's blackmailing Jerry Jones.
You terrible. You terrible. Thanks for the call, Delvin.
Thanks, Delvin.
Oh, he's got pictures, he says.
That's another promo-worthy drop.
Yeah, it is.
Brandon in Spartanburg is taking Wake Forest over Florida State plus 9.5.
Oh,
are you
Wake over
Are you
FSU?
narrowing down, or are you going to play scared and wait until tomorrow or Friday? I feel like too many Tolos are waiting until tomorrow or Friday.
Which they can, though.
They can, but
they
scared.
can.
Who was it that texted in? Was ripping on you? It was it April Mosley who told you scared money don't make money?
Yeah,
Cole?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, I think that was also the week that you picked SMU over Clemson.
Yeah, I just don't look at I don't see one I love, and which to RJ's point. Here's why I do like Coastal. They're at home tomorrow, and I like a home dog. It's a 5.5 point spread as of right now on ESPN.com. I think that's what it was at 3:00, and that's what RJ sent in is his upset pick. I do like that one. Here's the problem. I don't know a lick about Marshall other than they have a pretty good movie out there, right?
4-3.
Yeah.
Losses to Georgia, oddly enough, Missouri State. So they started 0-2 on the season. They lost at Louisiana 54-51 in a barn burner, but they've won 2 straight.
The ESPN matchup predictor.
Tar out of Old Dominion.
Diesel, the only thing ESPN matchup predictor gives Marshall a 70.6% chance to win. That's 29.4 in favor of Coastal.
And I'm not trying to throw shade at Coastal because my team is in the Sun Belt and Coastal just beat us last week. All credit, they deserve it. Coastal doesn't have the best home field advantage. They don't have a strong attendance on a week by week basis.
And you know what? The one reason I would lean away from them is because I have taken Coastal already this year one time.
Okay.
In the upset picks challenge, and obviously they didn't hit. But Marshall, they're on a 4-1 run. You know, they, like you said, rough start, first year head coach and Tony Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
They're 4-3 overall, but man, they've got 4 wins in the last 5 games. Oh man, that's an interesting game there, RJ. Marshall's 5-2, by the way, against the spread. They've been cover kings as of late. Do I believe in Coastal? That's the question you ask.
Be a second game for a new quarterback. Maybe he played out of his mind against App State last week. Maybe he can't repeat that. I don't know.
Tim Beck just hadn't impressed me. I don't know.
I don't think Tim Beck, unless he wins out, I don't think Tim Beck is going to be back. I don't.
Chanticleers, by the way, are 3-4 against the spread. Samari Collier, is that the guy that came in against App State, or is that a different guy? Collier threw 118 and a touchdown against App State, ran for 73. And you said they brought in a new guy.
No, that was the guy.
That was the guy that
was
played?
the guy. He was not the starting quarterback leading into that game or before that game.
So they're going with Collier. Okay.
Yep. Tolo's
don't know.
844 fan phone. Get us your upset picks. Don't wait. You don't have to. You can send it to us right now. We're looking for, of course, USC Justin. We know that Dave Mosley waits until the last minute to send his in.
I'm gonna start doing that too. Then
USC Justin, Puppy Monkey Baby, Canes Transplant, Coach AJ, Nashty, Kevin Buggs, Jacob in Spartanburg, Bo from Greer. Waiting on all you guys to get in your upset picks. And remember, you can make a run in the back half of this challenge. There are still 10 weeks to go. If you stacked like 3 or 4 point upsets for the next 10 weeks, you would be inside the top 25.
Be in a good spot. That does give me a little hope. By the way, real quick on this Marshall Coastal thing. Coastal's offense, they've been underwhelming. They rank 105th in scoring. Diesel at 20 points per game. They rank 126th in total offense per game, 293 yards per game. Defensively, the Chanticleers 110th, allowing 33 points per game. In terms of yardage, they're 124th. They're conceding 452.5 yards per contact. They're giving up a lot of yards. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't pick Coastal here. It's tomorrow night, by the way.
Yeah,
that game is.
And weird things happen on Thursday night games.
They do.
I'm going to go ahead and lock mine in, Cole.
Wait a minute. You ready? What? You ready?
Yeah. You can make me wait.
Oh, yeah. Anticipation, baby.
I am the first Tolo who has taken this game today. I am taking the mighty Nebraska Cornhuskers and Dylan Raiola plus 6.5 at home against Southern Cal. These are two really good. Oh, come on now. Come on. Don't be that guy. When I hit, I'm going to play this audio back on Monday. And I'm going to laugh in your face.
You should.
I'm going to laugh in your face. Nebraska's got a really good running back. It's a night game. It's home field advantage. There's going to be 100,000 strong inside Nebraska's stadium. Dan B might text in and say, Diesel, that's a stupid pick. You shouldn't have picked my Nebraska Cornhuskers. But come on.
What's the spread?
Rayavan Raiola, 6.5.
Safe. I like it.
Yeah. I need points. I need points bad. I'm not in a position where I can shoot for the stars with, 12, 13, 14, 15-point picks this week.
Did you realize Memphis is ranked?
Yeah.
Did you realize that this week?
I did know that.
Oh, my God. Memphis is 7-1.
I just got the pick in from FU Ashley, my wife. She is taking Duke to upset Clemson plus 3.5. She said because they'll be up past Dabo's bedtime. And that game's going to be over at like 4 in the afternoon. She says Dabo goes to bed at 4 o'clock.
It's a noon game. Is that right?
It is a noon game.
So that one's still on my radar. I probably won't make a pick today because that pick's still on my radar. I'll be honest with you. I am looking at that one.
She's playing safe because she's up there in 4th place.
She can.
5th place.
And she could swing big if she wanted to as well. It's not gonna
hurt her much.
So that spread's now. What net spread was it? 3.5 yesterday.
It was 3.5 yesterday. Let's see how it's changed.
So it's 1 point. 1 point in favor of Duke. I wonder if any money's coming in. I guess.
It's 2.5 now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
So now it's swinging more in favor of Clemson.
It was 3.5.
Oh, sorry. Clemson favored by.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. It is swinging more in favor of Duke.
I like Darian Mensah, man. And what's that tell you? I just think that's so intriguing to look at. Here we are almost in the end of October, and you're telling me that Clemson Duke's basically a pick 'em. Basically, according to Las Vegas, I mean, it's a pick 'em. Darian Mensah's good. We assume Cade Klubnik's going to play, right? We assume.
Is he going to be at 100%? Don't know.
Here's where I was thinking about this last night. Clemson's coming off of a bye. And I've thought this like a million times this year, Diesel, already, but I'm thinking it again. Surely, coming off of a bye, Clemson's not going to lose again at home, right?
When was their last bye?
It was after Syracuse.
So they had a bye before North Carolina, and they won 38-10, but North Carolina sucks.
They suck. I just don't know. Maybe my thinking with that that line of thinking is just not valid anymore because this Clemson team they're just not good. But man, coming off of a bye, you're at home. You've had 2 weeks basically to prepare for Duke.
And get your quarterback healthy.
You got your quarterback back. My gosh, if you lose this game, man, I know Clemson fans are, it's okay. It is what it is at this point. But, I mean, come on. Hey, by the way, if Duke wins this, they'll have had Clemson's number. Remember they beat them a couple of years ago on Labor Day on Monday night to open the season. And now this one's only 2.5 now, Diesel, so I just can't take a game worth 2.5.
Next week, if Clemson loses this game, they'll have lost 2 straight. They'll have the battle of the bad against Florida State at home on the 8th. And then it's at Louisville. Looks like they're going to lose that game. Furman, toss up at this point, I guess. And then at South Carolina. Just bad team after bad team and Louisville on the rest of their schedule.
All right, here's one. I think I know we got to run to a break. I think I've got one.
Oh?
I think. I don't know yet. I'm not locking it in, but I'm looking at something. I'm looking at something. I might go really patriotic here this week. I might go patriotic. I'm looking at, I don't know how good North Texas is other than they're 7-1.
Okay.
I'm looking at Navy, who's 7-0, by the way, over North Texas for 6.5. I'm looking at it. I'm not locking it in, but I am looking at North Texas versus Navy the spread 6.5. I'm looking at a prediction now, and ESPN Analytics heavily favors North Texas. One website's giving them a 66.6% chance to win the game based on simulations. Diesel, I don't know a lick about Navy or North Texas. I really don't. I know Navy's they're good. They're undefeated. North Texas has lost 1 game. I like this one. This is the one I'm going to keep my eye on. I think I might be a midshipman for the day or the weekend.
Be bold and mighty forces will come to your aid, Cole.
I'm going to keep an eye on this one. I'm going to keep an eye on.
Basil King said that.
Okay. Who?
Basil King.
Gotcha. I know we got to run to a break, but Navy North Texas, I think, is the leader in the clubhouse.
All right, locking it in.
No, not yet. Not yet. I like it, but I don't know if I'm locking it in. But Diesel, I do know that I have changed my mind on something.
Oh?
Yep, I've changed my mind, and I want to see where you are on this and where the Tolos thoughts are on this one thing when it comes to a certain coach in college football. Breaking news, I've changed my mind. Am I right? Am I wrong? You tell me next.
The next hire will be one of them, if you will. Someone who is ingrained in the southeast portion of the country, area of the country, has an understanding of what is just college football down there, man.
Saban's coming back, right?
Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning, time in Georgia, right? Joe Brady, that magical 2019 season, what he did with Joe Burrow and the special group of talent that they had on the offensive side of the ball. The next hire will be.
I don't know why the audio went back to the very beginning, but Todd McShay here talking about the LSU hire Diesel. And I was watching this video of Todd McShay, who I really like, earlier today, and talking about the next candidate for LSU and who they might hire, right? Whether it's going to be the governor or whoever it is that's going to be making the hire, giving some candidates here. Here's the rest of that audio.
Magical 2019 season, what he did with Joe Burrow and the special group of talent that they had on the offensive side of the ball. Those are the names I'm hearing that I'm actually taking seriously. LSU is going to make an offer to Nick and to Miss Terry that will force them to reconsider their justifiable stance. At this point in our lives, working College Game Day, ESPN, ABC is where we belong.
So I bring that audio to the show today, Diesel, from Todd McShay, because number one, like I said, I like Todd. I like watching his stuff. But number two, I think it ties into Lane Kiffin as well. And we're going to get into what he said with who LSU should hire when it comes to maybe going after a Joe Brady type of guy, Nick Saban coming back into coaching, right? All of these different names, we'll get into that. But I think I've changed my mind, Diesel, and settled on the fact that with Florida, that with LSU, the instability that these two programs have had as of lately, you throw out two words that I believe will keep Lane Kiffin in Oxford. Those two words are risk management. If Lane Kiffin were taking this money to a financial advisor, Diesel, I believe risk management would come up here. What do I mean by that? Lane Kiffin going to Florida, Lane Kiffin going to LSU, there's a lot of risk in that. And I think with that and other things that we'll get into in this segment, I think that's why I've settled on Lane just needs to stay where he's at. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, you're dead on.
Stay where you are.
Needs to stay at Ole Miss. Number one, he's built something really good. It hasn't popped into a college football playoff appearance yet, but there's only been one season of the 12-team college football playoff, and they were right there on that fringe of getting in last year. They seem to be on pace for getting in this year, barring something catastrophic happening in the last couple of weeks of the season. They love him at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He will have a statue built to him at Ole Miss if he just sticks around another couple of years, Cole, and he's still a young enough guy that if he wanted to, Lane Kiffin could coach at Ole Miss for another 15 seasons if he wanted to.
And, you know, when I talk about risk management, man, like you look at the opportunity that Lane Kiffin has at Ole Miss, to your point, Diesel, he can build whatever he wants. He can pretty much hire whoever he wants. He can pretty much do whatever he wants. Now, is Ole Miss as sexy as Florida? Is it as sexy as LSU? Maybe not. But, man, I just don't know. The more I think about it, when you talk about risk management, Diesel, what I mean is if Lane Kiffin says tomorrow, you know what, I'm going to go take the Florida job. Well, there's a lot of risk there. If that doesn't work out, Diesel, within a couple of years, his legacy will be tarnished. His record will be tarnished. You remember it wasn't that long ago we talked about Lane Kiffin as, he wants to be that guy, but he's not that guy. I'm just saying that I think him going to a LSU or Florida, while he could go and be uber successful, I also think there's a lot of risk. And why can't, in this new era of NIL and the transfer portal, why can't he do the same at Ole Miss?
If he takes one of those jobs, especially LSU, we don't know what the standard really is at Florida.
I know.
But if he doesn't win a national championship within 4 years at LSU, he's fired.
Mm-hmm.
That is demonstrated by LSU and their twitchiness and their willingness to fire Brian Kelly,
Right.
and their willingness to fire Ed Orgeron after he already won them a national title. They moved on from him. And have you noticed how? And I'm gonna ask Bill Bender about this coming up at 5:20. That LSU has fired their way into a worse winning percentage over their last 3 coaches. Les Miles had the highest win percentage. They fired him. They went to Ed O. Won him a national title. Had a slightly lower win percentage. Fired him. Moved on to Brian Kelly. Slightly lower win percentage. Fired him. So they keep getting worse with every new hire. I don't think that would be the case. But really, what's different, what Lane Kiffin can do at Ole Miss, is there basically the resources to do anything he wants at Ole Miss? Yes. Is the expectation as astronomically, sky high at Ole Miss? No. I think he is in a Goldilocks spot where he has what he needs, but the pressure isn't so high.
The only thing I would say about the win percentage is sometimes those numbers can be skewed a little bit depending on how long they're there, right?
It's true.
Like if a coach is only at a school for a year and he's 10-2, he's going to have a really high winning percentage, right?
Well, they gave Kelly 3.5. They gave 4 or 5?
Yeah.
And Les Miles was there a little bit longer.
I just think there's a lot of risk in either job. And why can't Lane Kiffin be the first to bring Ole Miss that championship if Diego Pavia and Clark Lee can do what they're doing at Vandy? Like if this were 10 years ago, I think we're probably having the conversation that Diesel, if this guy wants to be relevant, he's going to have to leave Ole Miss. He's going to have to leave Ole Miss and go be at a Florida or go be at a LSU, right? But the reality is he just doesn't have to do that anymore because he can go get the guys. He can go pay the top dollar.
Well, to use a Daboism, what did Dabo always say? Grow where your feet are planted.
Mm-hmm.
And he can grow at Ole Miss. He's got him inside the top 10, and he's got a path. It's right there in front of him. Don't give up the best situation you've ever had, Lane. Don't give it up. You had a toxic fan base at Tennessee, and I get why they hate him after he left.
Yeah.
You had a toxic, you would have a toxic fan base at Florida and LSU.
Now, on the flip side, when it comes to who LSU is going to hire, if you just tuned in, I want to play this audio one more time from Todd McShay and get our reaction to this. Who should LSU hire?
The next hire will be one of them, if you will. Someone who is ingrained in the southeast portion of the country, area of the country, has an understanding of what is just college football down there, man.
Saban's coming back, right?
Nick Saban, Lane Kiffin, Dan Lanning, time in Georgia, right? Joe Brady, that magical 2019 season, what he did with Joe Burrow and the special group of talent that they had on the offensive side of the ball. Those are the names I'm hearing that I'm actually taking seriously. LSU is going to make an offer to Nick and to Miss Terry that will force them to reconsider their justifiable stance. At this point in our lives, working College Game Day, ESPN, ABC is where we belong.
Those names.
That makes me laugh that they think they're going to get Nick Saban back.
I have heard, Diesel, that they're going to make him say no with the most lucrative offer that he's ever been offered.
What do you think it would take? Honestly, if he left the game and he was making probably 12 and a half, what do you think it would take to get Nick Saban back at his age after having tasted the fun of doing a college football show?
No kidding. Not having to worry. And he's still making money with Alabama, right? Because he's in an advisory role. I think he's still making like $500,000.
I'll bet you they would have to offer him 18 to get
million.
him. 18 million a year to get him.
That's unbelievable. And here's my thought on that.
But the game hasn't changed. The reason why he got out of the game hasn't changed.
Right. And to that point, Diesel, what if, and this is going to sound crazy. This is going to sound, somebody's going to shoot me dead for saying this. What if hiring Nick Saban's not the right move? Because to your point, the game is still the game that he got out of. The game is still the game that he didn't like. I know that he would have to use the portal and he would have to adapt. But what if Nick Saban for a few years in this new era of college football really isn't the building block that you think it is? Why? Because you don't really need building blocks in this new era of college football. It's not like you're having to go hire the guy so you can get the guy anymore. Why not go get a Joe Brady who won a national championship with Joe Burrow as the offensive coordinator, Diesel, understands the football culture down there. He understands recruiting down there.
And he's now spent time in the NFL with the Bills.
And if you look at what he's done compared to what Ken Dorsey did at Buffalo, there's a big difference. Not only is he spending time with the Buffalo Bills, he's doing exceptionally well with the Buffalo Bills. So my point being like, yeah, Saban's the best ever. Belichick was also the best ever. Bringing back coaches is not always the best scenario. Would I take Nick Saban if I'm LSU? Sure. But long term, give me a Joe Brady who's going to be there for a decade and a half. And if I'm an LSU fan, and I don't know how many LSU fans we have listening in the upstate, are you telling me, Diesel, that LSU fans wouldn't be okay with Joe Brady as their next head coach?
Oh, they'd be ecstatic.
They should be.
They would absolutely love it.
So why not go? And he's still relatively young, right? I mean, Joe Brady right now is 36.
Is that it?
36.
Wow. You could have him for 30 years, theoretically.
Oh, you could have that guy. That guy could be Joe Brady's stadium. You know, I mean, imagine what he could do. So I know there are a lot of names. He threw out Saban, Kiffin. He also threw out Dan Lanning.
He did.
Why would Dan Lanning leave Oregon?
How much money would they have to throw at Dan Lanning to get him out of Oregon? Again, in a Goldilocks situation, in a conference that is very, very winnable, that's top heavy with really all he's got to contend with now is Ohio State and maybe Michigan. But outside of that,
oh man, that's a good question.
The pathway is there. It's like it's begs the same question. Well, when he was winning national titles, why didn't Dabo want to leave Clemson? Because the path was right there and it was easy to go win titles.
So would Dan Lanning be idiotic? I mean, I guess money would have to be, to your point, it'd have to be an astronomical amount of money thrown at him. But I think I agree. Oregon's a really good place to be.
Eugene is beautiful this time of year.
They've got Nike money. And I get like wanting to coach in the SEC. I get it. Wanting to coach at LSU. I get it. LSU is one of the best jobs in college football. We know that. But leaving Oregon?
What would it say about the SEC if it is no longer the conference that the tippy top best of the best coaches have to be in? Right? I mean, if Dan Lanning turns you down, if other really good head coaches and coordinators in the Big Ten turn you down, what does that say? Even ones that have ties to the SEC, if they turn you down, that says the grass is greener over here in the Big Ten.
And I think it also says money's not everything, because I'm happy where I'm at Oregon.
And Lane Kiffin said that. As a matter of fact, he was interviewed sometime earlier this week, and he says, I have never made a decision strictly based on money.
And it's not like I know money's still – like, you still have to factor it in. I totally get that. But my gosh, are you telling me that Dan Lanning's not making enough now to keep him happy in Eugene? I mean, that guy's killing it right now.
And you're telling me that Dan Lanning, I'm looking up his salary. Are you telling me that Oregon would not do what Indiana just did?
100%.
And throw some gargantuan sum of money? Right now, he's making $10.5 million.
Dan is.
Yeah, Dan. You're telling me that Oregon would not add an extra $3 million on top of that to put him at $13.5 million to keep him?
Nike could come up with that in 30 seconds.
All I got to do is sell like 10 pairs of Jordans, and they got the money.
Goodness gracious. It's fascinating, man. I think it's going to be a fun offseason, but I also think to kind of round up my point here, leaving may not be the best thing for Lane Kiffin. Just give it time, and maybe you can bring a national championship. But it does go back to one thing that I've always said, Diesel, and I don't know this to be true, but it does go back to this. When Lane Kiffin lays his head down at night, what does he think about that Florida job? Can he go to bed content that he didn't give it a crack? I just know that. Lane Kiffin, you know how he is. Lane Kiffin wants to try it.
So now I'm thinking of that's pride messing with you, big boy speech.
Maybe.
From Pulp Fiction again.
Maybe.
When we come back, Cole, South Carolina, they were so close to beating Alabama last weekend. They got another chance against a highly ranked Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin coached team. The question is, do we think that South Carolina basically shot their wad last week against Alabama and will get smoked by Ole Miss? Historically, how have Shane Beamer teams responded the week after losing close to top 25 teams? That's next. Coming up in the very next segment, the Facebook reaction to something that Jack Veltri and you were discussing on the show yesterday. Is it crazy to say that Shane Beamer is on the hot seat? You posted it on Facebook. Ton of Tolo reaction to that. We'll get to that in the very next segment here, Cole. But, you know, does it change things in the minds of some of those Tolos who thought that that was a crazy concept? Mm-hmm. If South Carolina gets blown out again this weekend by Ole Miss, because historically speaking, Shane Beamer-led South Carolina teams have not responded well the week after losing a heartbreaking game against the top 25 team.
Well, it becomes, for me, a conversation of not if, but when. Mm-hmm. Sadly, unfortunately, Diesel, and probably again the next week with A&M, it's going to be tough. But no, it's not going to get any better. It's going to be the same old, same old. It's going to be the same exact Shane Beamer press conferences post-game where he's frustrated. And I think this season,
how hard we practiced this week.
Yeah, by the way, I was shocked that he didn't say that Saturday after Bama. Everybody was looking around like, man, he didn't.
This is just another proof that Clemson and South Carolina fans are exactly the same, because Clemson fans say, hey, it's okay, Dabo. You can lose the rest of the season. We don't really care. We're writing this season off. It doesn't matter anymore. We'll just go ahead and look towards next season. And South Carolina fans are saying the exact same thing. What if South Carolina lost out? I don't think that's going to happen, but what if they lost out, or they beat they lost everybody left on the schedule except Coastal Carolina? Does that not change your mind about Shane Beamer and whether or not you want to keep him around? Is that 9-win season in 2024 enough to sustain an epic collapse down the stretch?
So I think I would answer your question by saying this. Those who watch South Carolina every game, Diesel, their thoughts are not any different now than they were 3 weeks ago. What I mean is, you ask, if you continue to lose, does that not change your thoughts? Well, here's the problem. When South Carolina fans watched them against Vandy and Missouri, they knew, oh boy, we have problems. They knew that against Kentucky, the defense and special teams had a score, even though it was a 35-13 win. They knew, oh boy, we have problems. So myself, and I think a lot of Gamecock fans, looked at that next stretch against LSU, Oklahoma, Bama, Ole Miss, and A&M, and thought, they're not winning those games. They're just not. They're not playing good enough. So to answer your question, my thoughts on this team hadn't changed, because I saw them play on September 20th at Mizzou and looking competent. I saw them looking competent the week before against Vandy.
I saw them looking competent against Virginia Tech.
That's what I'm saying.
They won the game, but they didn't look good.
They didn't look great. No, they didn't. And they won barely, 24-11. So my point being, yeah, the conversation continues to get worse, but we all knew this was coming, so it's not like Gamecock fans are surprised by it.
So the facts are that when South Carolina loses a tight one against a top 25 team, they only ever bounce back if they're playing a bad opponent. They only ever do that. In 2024, last year, they followed a 27-25 road loss at number 7 Alabama with a 35-9 road win at Oklahoma. But Oklahoma was having an historically bad season. They also followed a 3-point home loss to number 16 LSU with a blowout win over Akron. But it's Akron, okay? So certainly not on the same level as Ole Miss 2025. 2023, they lost by 10 on the road at number 1 Georgia. They followed that up with a win, 37-30 over Mississippi State. Then went on a 4-game losing streak, by the way. 2022, they followed a 14-point road loss at number 16 Arkansas. Man, how that's changed the fortunes for Arkansas. They followed that up with a 48-7 home loss to Georgia. 2021, they had 2 opportunities. They followed up a road loss against Georgia with a home win against Kentucky. And then they followed up a big-time road loss at A&M with a 40-17 win against Florida. So it is a mixed bag for Shane Beamer, especially when it comes to playing good teams the following week. Most of the time, Shane Beamer does not follow up, does not use a close loss to a ranked team in conference to fuel them to a win the following week.
Yeah, I can't push back on any of it because like you said, it is what it is. It's what they've done. Here's what I would say though, Diesel. This is going to sound like a cop-out, but here's my question. What head coach in college football could take this team from the beginning of the year through that 5-game stretch and make this team drastically different? My point being, I think we found out really early in the season that they are who they are. And Lenora Sellers, is he played his best? No, he's not played his best. He has a bad offensive line. He has a basically no run game, right? And the offensive coordinator's not helping the quarterback be better. Now, the offensive coordinator still being there, that definitely falls on Shane Beamer. There's no doubt about that. But I'm not buying into the whole, like I have a buddy who thinks Lenoris has just dropped off significantly. Well, he has, but look who's around him. That matters in football.
Can't look good if you've got bums around you.
No, and he don't have any good. They're not good. They're just not good. So that's my point. They're not good. We knew that a month and a half ago. Could Nick Saban have made this team any better? I don't know that any coach could have. They are who they are. And unfortunately, they don't get to play Boston College and look good. They don't get to play Duke. They don't get to play this 5-game stretch. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. I mean, it's just brutal. It is what it is, and they are who they are, right? Now, what did the Gamecock fans say? Tolos, what do you say? A lot of reaction to get to, as Diesel mentioned on our Facebook page at the Fan Upstate from the question that I asked Jack Veltri yesterday. Also, a few tweets to get to from that as well. We'll take a deep dive and want to hear from you, Tolos, next on the Fan Upstate. Diving right back into it with Shane Beamer and the question to Jack Veltri yesterday that stirred up some comments on the Fan Upstate Facebook page. Also, need to send out a reminder to you Tolos that the Upset Picks Challenge is open. Do not be like the one guy that said, I'm done. I'm not going to claw my way back in. There are still 10 weeks to go of the challenge, and we need you, Tolos, by the droves at 844-326-3663. Your name, the game, and the spread. The Upset Picks Challenge is open, and we cannot see these numbers continue. These people getting discouraged, Diesel. There's still a lot of football to play.
Well, you're getting discouraged, Cole. You're allowing yourself to become one of them.
How am I getting
to pull
discouraged?
You back from the brink.
No. I said a couple of weeks ago, SMU jumped me up in a big way, and 9.5 points was big.
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, you've been bagging on this challenge all season long.
No,
it sucks. It's
I
not
don't
fun.
like losing.
I'm not any good at this.
I don't like losing, but
you have to be a
Tolos,
salesman, Cole.
the Tolos know that I'm kidding. The Tolos, I don't think the Tolos have quit playing because I'm joking on the show.
I know the Tolos are a sophisticated bunch. That is true.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, maybe they need some.
Now you sound like Madcraft with my positivity. If I'm positive in this segment about the Upset Picks Challenge, I think the floodgates will open.
Speaking of Madcraft, we have a tinfoil hat story when it comes to the concept of injuries that Madcraft is gonna love. We're gonna bring it up to the show tomorrow, and we're gonna make sure we get Madcraft on the show and see what he thinks about it, because he is all about the injury theories when it comes to the Meadowlands or MetLife Stadium in New York.
Yeah, he does love some good conspiracy stuff. This one's wild, though. I will say this one surprised me a bit. But let's dive back into it. And Tolos, again, Upset Picks Challenge, 844-326-3663. I'm going to be positive for 20 whole minutes. And hopefully the text line will probably break because I'm being positive and the text will keep coming in. So get those upset picks in right now, 844-326-3663. Diesel, yesterday we had Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central on the show. I asked Jack a question and his response was pretty good. Now, there have been many comments on our Facebook page about this. I want to get to some of these comments. Also want to hear from you Gamecock fans out there at 844-FAN-PHONE in terms of where you stand on this. Phone lines are open. Text line, the Hub City Spartanburgers text line is open as well. The question, Diesel, I asked him. I said, Jack, do you think it's outlandish that some fans want Shane Beamer fired? Jack responded and said, yes, I do. I think it's a bit crazy. Go back to almost a year ago since they beat Clemson and Beamer was the greatest. Everyone was excited, and now you want people wanting him out of town. That's ludicrous. I think Shane has done a pretty good job. I think the expectations were set way too high coming off of last season because of everything they lost. Teams are pretty good in this conference. I think it's a little bit crazy for people to want him fired right now. There were 28 comments within a matter of hours on the Facebook page, and those comments we'll get to in just a few minutes. Also, Tolos, like I said, want to hear from you as well. But Diesel, we have brought this up. Jack Veltri yesterday, the last thing he said, I think it's a little bit crazy for people to want him fired right now. In this culture we live in, a fire culture, is Jack off here? Do you still stand by the fact that you think that getting rid of the guy might be the right move?
The way Jack responded to that question, it sounded like, in his mind, at least, there is unwavering support for him mentally.
What's your name?
That Shane Beamer needs to stay at South Carolina. I know that Shane Beamer gave you a 9-win season last year. I know that Shane Beamer is a positive guy and has been a positive force on South Carolina, and that's a great thing. But hey, if that's all Shane Beamer can do,
what's your name?
Is be a positive influence and win 55% of his games, then go be a booster, go be a fundraiser, go be the director of athletic spending, whatever it may be, to help build the program financially. He's doing a phenomenal job at that, but he's not doing a phenomenal job at coaching the team to wins. And that's the goal, right?
Yep.
I mean, I think Shane Beamer, if Shane Beamer left the program at the end of this season, he would leave it far better than the way that he found it.
He would. I think he would. And again, in the SEC, in this new era of college football, we're going to get to the phone lines in just a second. It's tough because you want a guy who comes in and leaves the program in better shape than he found it. And Shane Beamer's done that. It's in a much better spot than when he found it. Now, how do you reconcile, Diesel, to make sure that what happens next year is not just an anomaly and it's not continuing off of what happened this year, right? There's no hangover. There's no looming effects of 2025. I think Jack's response is how a lot of fans feel. He's still the guy. He's shown us that he can win games and win big games. But Diesel, I don't think the fans and Jack also are willing to give him a super long leash. As we said yesterday, I think this move in the offseason is going to be critical to Beamer's success. I'm not on the fire Beamer train today. If this happens again next year, I will be. I do think I think you give him an opportunity to get the OC hire right.
Keeping Shane Beamer around when he's giving you the results that he's giving you is kind of like going to a restaurant again and again and again that you want to like. You really want to like this restaurant, but for some reason, every experience you have there is mediocre. Maybe the food is cold. Maybe the service is poor. Maybe the table is dirty. Maybe you waited a long time to get sat. Maybe, an hour after you leave one time, you get the bubble guts. But one time, it's really good. If that was the case, would you keep going back to that same restaurant again and again, giving them more chances to get it right? Giving them your money again and again, even though the results aren't there? Like, why would you keep doing that? Why would you keep giving them chance after chance? Like, I know Shane Beamer's a likable guy, and a lot of South Carolina fans are still holding on to that first 2 years, that honeymoon phase. And I think, oh man, if Shane could just get it right, this could be so good.
Yeah, I don't think I don't know that for me, and I don't know how every fan feels, Diesel. I don't think him being a likable guy is the reason they are willing to give him a chance. Does that play into it? Maybe a little bit. For me, I don't care if he's likable or if he's an a-hole. I want somebody that can win and win consistently, right?
Ask LSU fans about that.
Right. I want somebody that can win ball games. Now, Shane Beamer has shown that he can win games and he can win big games. You mentioned the 9-4 record last year. You mentioned 5-3. You mentioned, we've talked about it, being competitive in a lot of these games and showing that you can go toe-to-toe with Alabama, the number 4 team in the country. I think the culture and identity has been built focusing on the right values, Diesel, that gets the program to where it needs to be. But I do think, just like we saw with Clemson, and we're going to get to the phone lines in just a second, I think there's one missing piece. And I think Shane Beamer has not found the missing piece that takes the program from good to great, to get over that hump. Because Beamer has shown flashes that he can really, really contend in the SEC. He's upset big, highly ranked opponents, right? But I do believe when you look at Dabo's success at Clemson, we were having the same conversation with Dabo. They held on to Dabo for a long time. And then what Dabo Swinney do? He hired this guy named Brent Venables, and the rest is history. They went on to win 2 national championships, played for 4, right? So in Beamer's case, who's that missing piece? I think he's got to find it. And that's a lot of pressure on him, but here's the money. If I'm Jeremiah Donati, here's the money. Go find the missing piece and go bring us the consistency. They just haven't had that.
Well, if he wants to win at that level, he's missing 2 pieces. He's missing an elite DC. And I think
he's got one.
I think Clayton White is a really good DC. Am I saying he's nationally elite? Probably not, but still pretty good. And if you can find an elite OC, it can complement what Clayton White does really, really well. So he's got to get that elite OC. Is South Carolina a destination for elite OCs? Is Shane Beamer and his umbrella, his staff, a jumping off point for elite OCs? I mean, all coaches want to springboard into a better situation somewhere else. I mean, Dow Loggins parlayed his time at South Carolina as their OC into a head coaching job at a power G5 team. Not this year, but still. Will other up and coming hotshot OCs look at Shane Beamer's staff and his coaching tree as something that will further their careers or something that will ultimately get them fired?
I don't think it's the most attractive destination in the world, and that's not all on Shane. But at the same time, it's the SEC. You know, Diesel, throw the money at him, and let's see what happens. Let's go to the phone lines. Dale to lead us off. What's up, Dale?
All right, so first I'll start with the topic.
What's your name?
As subject here. All right, Shane Beamer deserves this year, the next year, and if after the following year it falls apart, he's got to go.
Why are you willing to give him so many chances, Dale?
What were they before that? What were they with Muschamp?
What does that matter?
You got to build something.
You're looking forward, not backwards, Dale. Look forward, not
Correct.
look out. You drive by looking out of the windshield, not the rear view.
You're right, but they are a better program now than they were 4 years ago, 5 years ago. They are.
I agree with that, by the way.
Okay. You're right. The OC is a mess. They got to lock that down. I think defensively they're fine. I mean, you technically held Alabama in that game to, 22 points? There was the pick six that wasn't Norris's fault. Somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, both of those games that Lenore Sellers has played in the last 2 years, I mean, it's tough to say that's on him because the fumble at the end that could have been a potentially game-winning drive, and instead it ends up being the game-winning drive for Alabama. The game before that, 4 turnovers altogether, a couple picks, a couple fumbles, ball security hasn't been there yet. So Beamer's got time. He's got time. I think if you finish out this year, somehow you make it to 6-6. Next year, you're 7-5. I think the next losing season beyond this one, he will be out. That's how it will be.
I think next year's the year. Yeah, it's the make or break, Dale.
Thanks, Dale.
Okay, but now the off-topic subject.
Yeah.
Cole, you talk about quitting. What have you done in fantasy this year?
I hadn't been good in fantasy.
My brother, you are sitting
Thanks for the call, Dale.
Hold on. You're sitting at 2-6 right now with 4 QBs on the roster. What in the heck?
I hadn't been paying attention with it.
Dale turned this call around. Dale, I was mad at you for the first half of this call, making excuses for Shane Beamer, and then you going after Cole just turned it all the way around. Full 360, buddy.
I hadn't had time for the fantasy. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm sorry.
Look, for the rest of us who are 7-1 and trying to win this thing, you want to just go ahead and gut the team, or at least start wheeling and dealing, my guy?
Probably a good idea. I will. I'll trade everybody away.
Taking up space and being a toxic waste of life.
God, Dale, somebody had to create the league.
Yeah, it shows.
Thanks.
Hey, good news is you're not last.
See? Why don't you call the guy who's last?
Because he's apparently a nobody. So,
Oh.
Well, call him,
He only
Dale.
comes after
Come
somebody's.
on. See you, Dale.
Thanks,
Dale. Let's go to Creed and Cowpens, who's up next. What's up, Creed?
Hey, well, easy. I agree with you totally. You give Beamer one more year, and because he had a good year last year. This year, give him one more year. If it's really bad next year,
he's gone.
Go.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty simple. But the one that really got me about Saturday, that really bothered me, I hardly ever get bothered with players because players have pressure on them, a lot of things. But an obvious coaching mistake. When they were up by 8 and Alabama drove down, they scored. Everybody knew they were going to score a touchdown. Everybody knew it. It was coming. There's no doubt. Okay, they scored. But why in the snot did you not take a timeout then? I mean, that 2-point conversion is the game. If you stop them, then you're just one first down away from winning. You're not having to score. Not taking a timeout there if they just drove it down your throat. What are the timeouts for? There's no better time than a timeout right then to try to stop that 2-point conversion.
Yeah.
I guess, Creed, the thought is you compare that to the tail end of the first half of the Oklahoma game where they only had one timeout and they didn't manage that clock really well there. So maybe the thought process was like, I got to preserve these timeouts so that if we have to go score, we can stop the clock at least 3 times.
And then the 2-point conversion play, you just got to tip your hat. I mean, that was unbelievable. A really creative, almost a trick play, right? I guess it was a trick play. You got to kind of just tip your cap on one of those.
It was a good call. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not arguing the time management thing.
Yeah.
But there was a minute and a half. It's not like there's 27 seconds. There was still a minute and a half. And that 2-point conversion is the game. I mean, if you get it, it's over. Well, it's not over, but it's dang close to over. I just don't understand when they scored so easy. That's when you take your time out. That's when you regroup. I mean, they just scored easy. But,
yeah.
All right.
That was a good call, Dale.
Thanks.
I'm
Thanks,
sorry,
Creed.
Creed. Let's go to Jonathan, who's up next on the Fan Upstate. Sorry about that, Creed. It was Dale, then Creed. Now Jonathan. What's up, Jonathan?
Hey, fellas, how are y'all doing?
Good. Hope you are.
Good. So, I was just sitting here listening. I feel the same way when y'all talking about South Carolina. They're always missing like a certain piece of the puzzle to basically make a complete football team.
Yeah.
I mean, especially like when you go back and look at Will Muschamp's record was 28-30, and now Shane Beamer's at 32-26. I mean, the offense has really never been there. We've always been, defense.
Sure.
So at what point we need to make a change.
Yeah, the offense really, Jonathan, hadn't been consistent since Spurrier was there,
No, it hasn't.
And that's because you had an
What's
offensive
your name?
genius at head coach, and it can disguise a weaker OC.
What do you think the missing piece is, Jonathan?
Offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think you just got to go get somebody who can really allow themselves, Jonathan, Diesel, everybody out there listening, to not be the guy who runs this, but instead come in and say, hey, I'm going to adapt to what my personnel is, and this is what we're going to run.
Right. So also at the same time, when we got Mike Fury,
right,
which, spent time in the NFL, he was a pretty dominant wide receiver in the NFL. And now we got Shula.
Mm-hmm.
So he worked with Carolina Panthers. He worked with Cam Newton and all that stuff or whatever. That's great. But NFL Cam Newton is different than college Cam Newton.
Sure.
So if it's similar, then if you got Lenore Sellers that you're trying to compare him to, then why not make a game plan around Sellers and let Sellers play Sellers ball?
Yeah, I'm with you.
He's not a pocket passer.
Sure.
And to your point, I think a better way of putting that, Jonathan, is that NFL Cam Newton is not college Lenore Sellers.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I 100% agree with you.
Thanks for the call, man.
Thanks, Jonathan. I wonder that question, and this goes back to what Dale was saying. He says, well, if we give him next year and then I'll give him another year after that, what if the next OC hire stinks? Like what if we're right back here? Well, Dale's saying give him another year. Are you going to let Shane Beamer hire his 5th offensive coordinator in what would that be, a 6-year tenure, 7-year tenure?
My position is next year's the year. You've got to find the OC, and then next year. I know it's only 1 year, but I'm not saying you got to go win the national championship. But I said, look, I do need you to go show us vast improvement. I really do. All right, real quick, I've told Bill Bender we're running a few behind. We're going to sneak in Dewey. Dewey, 30 seconds. What's up?
Oh, I got a couple of thoughts. Quick, first of all, the person who makes the schedule should be fired. Why every year you keep South Carolina doing this brutal schedule, and they lose. And
it's called the SEC, Dewey. It's the SEC, Dewey. It's every year.
They could play Arkansas. They could play Florida.
They could rejoin the ACC and have a cakewalk, Dewey. What's your point?
The point is the schedule's ridiculous, and they should be fired for making the schedule like it is. Secondly, in all fairness, if Beamer doesn't get it together, I give him mid next season. Don't even give him the whole year next year. Mid next season, he needs to go. If Mike Schuler's still around next year, he needs to go too.
Good point, Dewey. Thanks for the call.
Tom in Somerville, last one.
The next coordinator is going to have Cutter Woods to deal with, probably.
And Cutter Woods is I think a really good quarterback. He should be good. Tom, real quick, what's up, man?
I just want to know, the Louisiana governor today said that he would let Donald Trump pick the next LSU football coach before the AD. So who is on Donald Trump's top 3 candidates list? Who is he calling to be the next head coach at LSU. That's all I need to know today.
Now, Tom,
Go Gamecock.
Tom, real quick. The AD did make it clear, correct me if I'm wrong, that the governor made it clear today that the AD will not be making the hire, right?
Oh, he couldn't have made it more clear.
Okay.
He straight up said Donald Trump himself would hire the next football coach before Scott Woodward would.
Gotcha. So Scott Woodward's out of the picture.
At least for picking a football coach, he is.
Okay.
Tom, I got 3 for you right now. Three choices from Donald Trump to be the next LSU head coach. The Rock, Edge Straight Arrow Gennaro, and I think he'd call
Tuberville. Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah, he would get Tommy Tuberville back out. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate the call.
So I think, and I saw that, I think RJ had sent me that tweet a minute ago, Diesel, about the AD not making the hire. Yeah. I think that is huge, huge news, and we'll obviously ask Bill Bender about it next. But the fact that the AD that's there is not making the next hire, I think that's a huge piece of the puzzle.
Also says a lot about the AD.
Oh, yeah.
And how
do you think
his
he feels
job
right
is.
now?
When we come back, national guest Bill Bender of the Sporting News talking all things college football. Well, he's done it. He is hit in his upset pick, and Bill Bender a half a point away from 99th place in the Upset Picks Challenge. We bring in Bill Bender of The Sporting News. It's time for a comeback, Bill, and I think you're going to go on a heater. Welcome into the show. I want to lead with this, Bill. When was the last time that you could remember this many of the preseason Heisman favorites essentially crashing and burning the way that they have this year? Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, Drew Aller, the three most obvious ones. Lenore Sellers hasn't ascended the way that a lot of people thought he would. When was the last time you remember that many prime candidates going down throughout the season?
I mean, it happens every year. I mean, maybe not to this extent, but I mean, like Jeremiah Smith was a Heisman candidate. He's still in there. Julian Sayin. Some of it is these quarterbacks have had disappointing seasons, and it's part of the routine, so to speak. I mean, I don't think it's the last time we'll have some preseason guys that don't do it. So, it's my way of saying it doesn't really bother me that much. I mean, not too many people had Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty 1 and 2 last year in September, and Jaden Daniels, Joe Burrow, they're guys that kind of came out of nowhere along the way. So, that just goes to show the unpredictability of the Heisman race.
Now, with the unpredictability, what do you predict does happen? Who do you like right now? I mean, obviously, Simpson Mendoza leading a lot of sportsbook at plus 350, but who does Bill Bender like?
I mean, Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith are one or the other pretty safe bet. Julian Sayin has an 80% completion percentage. He's playing really good football, and they're probably not going to lose a regular season game. Fernando Mendoza. I mean, if Ohio State and Indiana play in the Big Ten championship game, then there's a really good chance that Sayin and Mendoza decide the Heisman that day. Ty Simpson's another candidate at Alabama. He continues to play well. Didn't have the best game last week, but he made the plays when it mattered against South Carolina.
Bill, why is it that you think Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss coming in from D2 isn't getting a whole lot of Heisman buzz? His numbers are impressive for a guy that, didn't start the season. He's been lights out.
Well, that's part of it. I mean, it's a statistical award. He's playing as well as all of those guys we just talked about, whether it's Sayin or Smith or Mendoza. Really impressive in SEC play. Played well even when they lost against Georgia. That Georgia defense just clamped down a little bit on him late in the game. So, I mean, he's absolutely a guy that could get in the mix.
Bill, you mentioned Fernando Mendoza there, and to your point, that would be incredible watchability in the conference championship game. Hearing this guy talk, number one, doesn't sound like a football player, sounds like a lawyer, but what do you make of Fernando Mendoza's 2025 campaign? And I know that Kurt Signetti's talked about a lot, but in these parts, it's SEC country, and Fernando Mendoza's not the most talked about quarterback, but you look at his numbers, he might be the best quarterback. Are we just not giving the guy enough credit for what he's done because of the conference he's played in?
Well, I think he plays in a pretty good conference. I don't know if that's the, thing. The Big Ten's won the last 2 national titles. So I got to stick up for the conference there. I think it's more about Indiana,
Gotcha.
and we're still having a hard time believing in them. You mentioned him sounding like a lawyer. He played at Cal, and he had that reputation last year. So I think he is an excellent player. To your point, he's probably not as well known down in the South because, I mean, how many people really watch Indiana play? But, I mean, they're going to be in living rooms in November because it's a really good football team on both sides of the ball. And I don't know if they can beat Ohio State, but I think they can hang with them.
Bill, LSU has gone from Miles to Orgeron to Kelly, and their win percentage has dropped with each of those changes. A fact that I'm sure no one in Louisiana is taking into consideration right now. Now they've got a whole litany of political processes that have to happen before they can even hire a head coach. All that to ask simply, was it the right time for LSU to make a move on Brian Kelly?
Well, I mean, Yes and no. I think it bottomed out obviously against Texas A&M, and it was pretty clear. I talked to Jacob Hester about that today, and that isn't what they've grown to see what LSU football was. Now that said, I know you guys are reading it too. These stories about the governor, and what could go wrong when you have a governor and a board of directors pick the head coach? I mean, why don't they just let the three of us do it, right?
Yeah. So can you elaborate on that? We had a caller that just brought that up. We've been told, Bill, that it looks like the athletic director has also been told that he will not be making the hire, and that leads into the question, will it be the governor who will be making the hire?
I think college football right there, guys. You guys are just a little more serious in SEC country than we are. I don't know if Governor DeWine would be making any decisions about Ohio State's next coach if they came to that. But, yeah, I mean, it sounds like he said in an event today that he would let President Trump pick the next coach before he would let Scott Woodward do it. And Woodward's obviously under scrutiny because he had to buy out the last two coaches when he was at A&M with Fisher and now with LSU with Brian Kelly. So I can't wait to see where it goes. I don't think it'll be Lane Kiffin. It's just a feel there. I think he might end up staying at Ole Miss. I think, a couple of those candidates outside of him, I like Joe Brady. I think that's a guy they should take a look at. I know he hasn't been a coach, but young, energetic. Could they recreate that 2019 dynamic they had with him? It'd be interesting to see.
Bill, what's to be made of the NCAA initially approving the rule change that would allow student athletes to gamble on professional sports, and then essentially at the behest of Greg Sankey putting the brakes on that? What do you make of all that?
They got to be careful. I mean, tough one. I mean, given we also what happened in the NBA last week, obviously that goes to credibility. I think, to me, college kids are probably going to gamble on things anyway. Hopefully it can't be other college games. There's no doubt that goes to the credibility of the sport. But if they're going to bet on NFL or NBA or NHL, I guess the one red flag for me is a lot of these college guys are tied in, or no guys that are tied into NFL staffs. You know what I mean? Like coaches. And I just think it's risky because you're leaving yourself open for controversy. I think one of the things with the NBA news last week is you start to wonder, okay, what's the credibility of this game? We make jokes all the time on these shows about bad beats in college football and college basketball. And at what point do your antennas come up and say, wait a minute, is that just a bad beat? You know what I mean? And then when that happens, it can definitely negatively impact the sport.
Bill, Diesel asked this question earlier in the show, and I'll ask it of you. When it comes to a number, what number would have to be offered in the mind of Bill Bender in order for Nick and Terry to come out of retirement and go to Baton Rouge? What would the number have to be?
I don't think the number matters.
Wow.
It really doesn't, because I just think, does he want to do it or not? You could throw a $15 million a year, whatever, and it really does come down to, does he want the stress of coaching college football in this era where a lot of the assumption is he retired to get out of it. Yeah. Why would he go back into it just to do a farewell couple years for LSU? And on top of that, I think he does a fantastic job in studio. And I could give you the same speech about Urban Meyer at Florida. If you were going to go for one of those two guys, Urban's a little younger and every bit the college football coach that Nick Saban was in college. So would you want to do that? But it really comes down to what those two guys always say. Do they really want to do it? And both of them are not only really good, but very comfortable in that studio.
Bill, I want to go back to the last question I asked you, and this may sound a little bit hyperbolic, but given the scandal we just saw in the NBA and the increasing number of scandals that we're seeing among basketball teams, Eastern Michigan just had theirs as well. There were some developments in that case just a few days ago. How bad would it have to be for major sports leagues in America to say enough is enough? We're not doing this anymore. I mean, are we? Would it have to be murders that would make the NBA say, guys, we can't be involved with this anymore?
Well, I'm not laughing because it's a very serious thing, but I don't know what that threshold is. I mean, we've had players be convicted of murder at college basketball, college football, maybe not college football, but you get what I'm saying. We've had those. Gambling wise, I think it's just becoming a little dicey. When you see the memes of they're talking about the NBA cases with gambling ads on the ESPN screen. There's a lot of money to be made. I think one of the things that I would try to get rid of, and I don't know how you can, the easiest one to manipulate to me is the player props, right? Like when you're so-and-so will have 32.5 rushing yards. Who's to say that we can't manipulate those more than any other thing in the sports? And that's when you get into the point shaving conversations that once the conspiracy starts, it's really hard to stop. So I think there's a threshold for it, but the NFL's been through a lot over the years. NBA and MLB, I just watched the Expos things on Netflix. You forget about how much damage that strike in 1994 did, and it still resonates to this day. I think you guys would agree with that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Bill Bender, The Sporting News, joining us for a few more minutes. Format breaker. In the next segment, Bill, we are going to ask our audience, ask the Tolos out there, for a segment tomorrow. We need 12 candies, Halloween candies, that have to be in a bracket challenge. What is the one candy that you feel like cannot be left out when it comes to Halloween candy? It's got to be in the bracket.
Oh, I'd rather talk about this than point shaving any day of the week, guys. So we're good here. The one that I have two kids. I have a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old, and the 14-year-old, he's probably going to squeeze in one more year trick or treat here. But the one that the dad tax is, for me, it's Butterfinger. No question. Like, it has to be there. I probably snag more of those than anything else from the kids. And one of my daughter doesn't like them anyway. But I do. And non would be Skittles, right? Like that, it's Skittles and Butterfinger. If those are the only two things in the bag, I'd be all right.
Sour or regular?
Just the regular red ones.
Gotcha.
Like the red packaged ones. And then my wife is a Reese's Cup, Reese's Cup, Reese's Pieces, those type things. I mean, you can never go wrong there. That's first and 10, you get 5 yards right there.
Bill, tell the truth. Have you had to go back to the store to buy the second bag of candy after saying that this first bag is for trick-or-treating? We can't touch this, but inevitably you always go through it and have to go buy more. Has that happened in your household yet?
No, but it's out right now. Like the temptation is there to go dig into the bag. There's no question. And then I have my daughter's going to be a shark. I don't, and then they've got the whole theme. A couple of the other girls are going to be the lifeguards, and then there's going to be the shark. And I hope there's not a victim in this group, but we'll see. And then my son will make one of those lazy last-minute teenage boy costume ideas. That's what's going to happen there. I already know that. But I love Halloween. Always have. I've always been a huge fan of it. And we're very generous with, passing out the candy and all that stuff. So we have 2 bags already, and I haven't touched them. I'm being honest.
Wow. Look at you. Bill, my last question for you. We talked about it for 20 minutes in the last segment. Shane Beamer and the pressure, the heat is on, I guess, with Mike Shula, that experiment failing. Where do you stand on that?
Well, so Shane Beamer, I think some of it, the pull of Virginia Tech, I don't know that the era has failed. They showed that they can compete. I'm, as I'm sure you guys have spent a lot of airtime on, just wondering how the offense isn't better than it is. Yeah. And, why is it stop and start around Lenore Sellers, who was being billed as a potential number 1 draft pick? I think Shane Beamer's a good guy. I think he's a good coach. It was a reminder, at least for 3 quarters, that South Carolina is a pretty cool place when it's humming and sandstorms going and all that. But, it's tough being in that SEC middle class. It really is, because, you know, I'm talking to you about Oklahoma and Texas maybe losing 3 games. You know, for the schools that are in that same tier, when you lose 4 and 5 in the SEC, it's tough. And I think South Carolina's in that tough spot right now.
Bill, we all saw what happened with the Pac-12 once most everybody left for the Big Ten. It feels like the ACC is next up on that chopping block. I just wonder, what's to stop the ACC, or what is the main thing stopping ACC schools that are looking for, you know, an improvement in football from going out and throwing everything they've got at the Big Ten and SEC cast-offs? I mean, I'm thinking, you know, James Franklin to Virginia Tech. I'm thinking Brian Kelly to North Carolina, for example, a year or so down the road. If they need to try to hang on to relevance, why can't they, you know, what's to stop them from calling all these coaches and saying, hey, we don't have SEC money. We can't pay you $12 million a year, but we can pay you $9 million a year and not put a ton of pressure on you. Like, what doesn't that seem like a power play to bring the ACC back?
I guess, but I mean, what did we just say there? Texas and Oklahoma out of the playoff. Nebraska, if they lose to USC, that's 3 they're out. And you can't tell me that if you talk to some Nebraska, Texas, and Oklahoma fans, that aside from the money, if you said, would you rather be back in the Big 12, or would you rather be back in the old Southwest Conference if you're Texas and Oklahoma? I think a lot of people would say yes, because it's still a regional sport at heart. I mean, you guys, how excited do you get for the Cal Clemson game when that happens?
Right.
For the Stanford, come on. Like, it's supposed to be a regional sport. We're supposed to sit here like I did a couple minutes ago and defend the conference of the region you live in. And I think that's lost. So, you know, that would be my thing, is I still think the ACC is a very good regional conference for the most part. If Miami and Florida State are good and you're getting multiple playoff berths, there's no reason not to move on. So, you know, that's my spiel. I think the ACC is better than people think, and I enjoy watching those games. But I understand the need to try to keep up with the heavyweights in the SEC and the Big Ten.
And then, Bill, as we let you go, your upset pick?
Cincinnati. I'm going to take Cincinnati late at night at Utah. I know that's a tough game, but this Bearcats team has been really good. They played at Nebraska, played well. Game that could go either way. Utah obviously might have a backup quarterback playing. So give me the Bearcats and Brendan Thorsby. A little bit of a homer pick, but that's okay.
Bill, you hit that one, you would jump from 100 to probably somewhere around 55.
Well, let's see what happens. We'll let it roll, right?
Thanks, Bill.
All right, Tolos, we need your Halloween candy entries. Tomorrow we're doing the bracket challenge. I may or may not agree with Bill Bender on the Butterfingers. I love Butterfingers, but we need 11, Diesel. We're doing a 12-team bracket, right?
Okay.
We need 11 more, and these have to be in the bracket, and then tomorrow we'll do the actual bracket. But 844-326-3663. Upset picks continue as well, but which Halloween candy has to make our bracket for tomorrow? We need to hear from you. We've got Shane Beamer audio coming up in about 12 minutes on the show. I've also made my selection for the upset pick. It is in as of about 34 and a half seconds ago, so I know who I'm taking in my upset pick. I'll tell you Tolo's at 6, so stay tuned for that. But tomorrow, Diesel, on the show, we're going to do a bracket challenge with the best Halloween candy, find out which is the absolute best of the best. But we need we're going to count Bill Bender's Butterfingers, right? I like that. You like Butterfingers?
I love Butterfingers.
I mean, they're so good. So we'll count Bill Bender, and we need 11 more. And the rules are
we're doing it just like the 12-team playoff.
That's right.
So we'll have the round of 4 to get in, like the play-in round, and that will lead to the bracket of 8, and we will go from there.
And then as far as I'm sorry, I set you up bad. As far as getting them in right now, if you text them in, we'll get it on there. But what if somebody doesn't like?
You can nominate your entry to the list via text or on the stream. And then if you think one of those has to go from the list, you have to call in the veto.
I like that.
844-326-3663. Cole, are you ready to take down this list that we have so far?
Yeah, and you brought up Dewey. You said Dewey.
Right out of the gate.
Dewey suggested what?
Candy corn. Which I don't hate candy corn. A lot of people just
hate it.
Stand it.
I hate it. I don't know
it's
why.
Not my favorite.
I don't like
it's
wax.
Not my favorite, but
you'll eat it?
I don't honestly, I don't know what the flavor is.
Yeah.
I don't know what the flavor of candy corn is. But if I have a bag of them in front of me, like my grandma used to always have candy corn, I would eat them.
All right, I am going to copy them onto tomorrow's rundown during the very next break. 844-326-3663. Which Halloween candy has to be included on the bracket for tomorrow? Okay. So I see dots. I can't believe somebody said dots. I see Sour Punch sticks. I did not expect to see that one.
Sour is that those things that look like little
straws?
Straws. I remember those. Yeah, I remember those.
Those are good. Nestle Crunch.
Good.
Yep. Tiger Pal Rachel says Baby Ruth.
Okay.
Sour
Classic.
Patch watermelon. I can't talk all of a sudden. I do love Sour Patch watermelon. And Reese's Take 5. All right, let's see here. Jersey Joe says Milk Duds. Milk Duds are good. I don't know if I love them. That's a good one, though. Let me ask you this. Bill Bender brought this up with Reese Cups versus Reese Pieces. My hot take is I think Reese Pieces are better than Reese Cups. Maybe just because there's more of them.
I do agree. I love
you like the Pieces?
Reese Pieces.
I'm telling you, I'm a Reese Pieces kind of guy.
Reese's Pieces. It's hard to say.
I probably
don't say Reese's Pieces all the time.
Reese's Pieces.
Yeah.
It sounds weird.
Did you know that the reason why Reese's Pieces got so big, or Reese's Pieces got so big, E.T. helped him get so big.
Yeah.
But George Lucas, was it George Lucas who directed E.T.? He originally contacted Eminem, and Eminem said, "Nah, we don't want to be involved in this." So then he called Reese's, and they're like, "Hey, we've got a candy for you."
I love Reese's Pieces.
That's how Reese's Pieces became such a cultural icon.
We'll have to ask Clay Hendricks tomorrow at 6:22 what his is. I interview Reggie Shaw, the Burns coach, for the Burns pregame show every Wednesday. I asked him today. His was Reese Cups. I think Reese Cups is like the favorite. I think everybody loves the Reese Cups for whatever reason.
I'm going to throw my support behind Mr. Goodbar.
I don't think I've ever had one.
I used to love Mr. Goodbars. It's the one.
It's caramel?
It's milk chocolate, and it's got peanuts melted in it. It's a milk chocolate bar.
I like that.
With peanuts melted in.
I like that.
The bag of candy that my wife got just has the Hershey's plain bars. It's like 4 pips in a row. That's what those little squares are called. Pips.
Pipsqueak.
They're awful. To me, a Hershey's, just plain Hershey's bar is just like a plain M&M. It's pointless.
I don't like a plain Hershey's bar.
No.
Now, if it has the nuts in it, I'm all in.
Which is a Mr. Goodbar.
Okay. I didn't know. I've probably had a Mr. Goodbar. I just can't think of like off the top of it. I'll tell you, I'm big on the Kit Kats. I'm big on Kit Kats.
Yeah, I do love a Kit Kat.
Oh my gosh. We can't have a bracket challenge without a Kit Kat.
Kit Kat is a lesser version of like a peanut butter. What was the one Bill Bender said?
Butterfinger.
Butterfinger, yes. A Kit Kat is a worse version of a Butterfinger.
April on the stream says, gotta have Twix. And see, I'm not a Twix fan. I don't love Twix for some reason. Now, Gus Mosley says Three Musketeers. And I don't think I've ever had Three Musketeers. What is that?
You never had a Three Musketeers?
I don't think so. I don't think I have.
It's a candy bar. It's like a Snickers without the peanuts.
Now, yeah, it sounds good. Sounds good. I'm a sour over chocolate. If I can pick,
American chocolate sucks.
Give me the sour candy all day long over the chocolate. Hey, I'll throw one at you on this Snickers. You know what I like better? I'll eat a Snickers bar, but I don't love them. But you know what's undefeated is the ice cream Snicker bars. Have you had those?
No,
it's a Snicker with ice cream.
Where do you get them? Like gas stations?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Spinks to be.
Okay.
Not that I know. Not that I went. The one by my house.
That's fair.
Just saying. Those are hard to beat. So
where are we at now? How many nominees do we have?
We've got about 8 or so. But we need some more, and we'll call for them early in the show tomorrow too. But we need about 3 or 4 more, I would say. You and I can give one, but it's not a bad start.
We'll collect until we have more than 12, and then tomorrow we will have people call in and veto.
There you go.
So how about that? When we come back, let's hear what Shane Beamer had to say. Is Shane Beamer throwing in the towel? I'm not good enough anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and quit, turn in all my Gamecock gear. What did he have to say in his press availability?
And I've got my upset pick, believe it or not.
Oh,
Diesel,
all that and more coming up next. Going to get to what Shane Beamer had to say in his press conference in just a minute, but this is the reveal of all reveals, Cole, because you said you weren't going to do it until later on in the week, but you are confident that you have your upset pick that's going to hit.
For Temple U, TU for University. Cherry and the white. For the cherry and the white. You got it yet, Diesel? You got it yet?
That's Temple.
Temple, baby. We're going with the Owls?
Yeah. How about that?
I'm going to try this again. See if you can do it with me.
I don't have the words in front of me.
It's just fight. T for Temple, U for that's bad.
I've been working on the railroad. She's been working on the railroad.
It's supposed to be
UGA.
It's supposed to be T for Temple.
That's just a rip off of the Georgia fight song.
What are they saying right there? I gotta back it up. Oh, it's T for Temple, U, and they drag out the U. You hear that?
Uh-huh.
For University, fight for the cherry and the white. For the cherry and the white, we'll fight.
Okay,
there you go. Temple, baby, give me Temple over East Carolina. The home dog is getting 5.5 points. East Carolina, rather, is getting 5.5 points. Temple, Diesel, how about this? 5-3. East Carolina's 4-3. They're both in the American Conference.
I picked East Carolina twice this year, and they screwed me both times.
Well, I'm going to make them pay for it. This game's at the link. You know, it's an NFL stadium. It's hard for East Carolina to come up there and play in an NFL stadium. It's going to be tough.
Most of those guys will never play in an NFL stadium again.
No, they won't. So, again, East Carolina on the road is favored by 5.5, and I'm going with the Owls, baby.
Who?
We're going Temple, all in for Temple. We're going to fight for the cherry and the white, and Temple is going to upset East Carolina on Saturday, and my upset pick's going to hit for 5.5 points.
You know, I am just sad that every year we don't have at least one Hooters Bowl where Temple versus FAU versus Kennesaw State versus Rice can happen. There should be a rule that of those 4 teams, 2 of them have to play each other every single year in the Hooters Bowl. You can do it in Pensacola. You could do it in Myrtle Beach. You could do it in Daytona. Wherever you want to do it.
Okay.
You can do it in John Daly's backyard, by God.
Yeah.
Just the Hooters Bowl.
The Hooters Bowl. Now, who was your upset pick?
My upset pick was Nebraska plus 6.5 over USC.
Now, do you know Hell Varsity is the name of their fight song? Do you want a chance with it here? Nebraska's fight song? You heard this before, by the way? There is no place like Nebraska. Yeah, we've heard this, right? Where the girls are the... Wait, is this real? No way.
Dan, how do you feel about me taking your Nebraska Cornhuskers to win this weekend? I am struggling in the Upset Picks Challenge.
You've got to see these lyrics, Diesel. These are freaking hilarious. I'm going to read them to you. I just posted the video. So this is their fight song. There is no place like Nebraska. Dear old Nebraska, you, where the girls are the fairest and the boys are the squarest of any old school that I knew.
Where the grass is green and the girls are pretty?
What does that mean? What the girls are fair and the boys are square?
Is that where Axl Rose got the inspiration for Paradise City?
Maybe. Where they are all true blue. They're talking about blue and their colors are red. We'll all stick together for dear old Nebraska U. It's a mid fight song.
But it's the University of Nebraska. It's not Nebraska University. It's UN, not NU.
Wait a minute. Are you contradicting the fights? Let me start it over. You might be right on that.
Did they flip-flop?
It's Nebraska University, right?
Is it?
Or what? No, what'd you say?
I thought it was the University of Nebraska.
Oh, man, I don't know. Now you've got me. It says, "Dear old Nebraska U," or the girls are the fairest and the boys are the squarest.
It is the University of Nebraska.
So you were right.
They got it wrong.
Wait a minute.
In their own fight
Diesel's
song.
right, but the fight song's wrong.
Did they change it?
No. There's no way.
Did they do a flip-flop?
There's no way.
Swap.
I'm going to read it to you again. I know this is riveting radio. There is no place like Nebraska.
Dan's just happy to hear the fight song played
That's
over the
true.
air.
Dear old Nebraska U, where the girls are the fairest and the boys are the squarest of any old school that I knew. So I think you're on to something.
Wow, was that the ideal of male masculinity in Nebraska?
I don't know.
Whenever they wrote that fight song in the 1920s, square man.
Listen to this part. Listen to this. This is funny. We'll all stick together in all kinds of weather for dear old Nebraska U. That's so corny. You see what I did there? Corny? You get it? No comment. You like this? What are you reading?
I'm reading. I'm Googling, is it University of Nebraska or Nebraska University? It is the University of Nebraska system. So why does it say Nebraska U in the fight song?
That's a good question. There it is again, dear old Nebraska U, where the girls are the fairest and the boys are the squarest. That's my new favorite. I don't know, man. That the girls are the squarest.
I just found the Reddit Huskers thread.
Yeah.
And there's a thread named "It irrationally pisses me off anytime I hear this fight song. It's never made sense to me."
Oh, because of that?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're on to something there.
Yeah,
You're
I
on to
guess
something.
so.
It's catchy, but it's not more catchy than this. I think this is my new favorite fight song. Fight, fight, fight for the cherry and the white. We'll fight,
That
fight,
sounds
fight.
like an SEC fight song.
Diesel, I like this. Could I become a Temple fan all of a sudden?
The tune is "She'll Be Working on the Railroad."
It kind of is. It kind of is. Oh, the cherry and the white. I like it. I like it.
It sounds big, too.
I'm telling you, the people talking behind, not talking, but chanting behind it like you're ready to go to war. I might become a Temple fan. Where's Temple at, by the way?
It's up north. You won't like it.
Is it?
Yeah, it's in Philly.
Oh, that's why they play it. The link.
Yeah. It's in Philly.
They don't even have their own stadium.
No, they don't.
They don't even have their own stadium. That's bad.
I mean, they really only need probably like a 25,000, 30,000
They could just do
seat
pop-up
stadium on
bleachers,
campus.
right? I mean, really? That's so bad. All right. Sorry, Beamer. Beamer spoke today.
Yeah. Let's hear what Shane Beamer had to say following a tough loss to Alabama at home.
It's a core value, Steve. Great to be back. I hope everybody that
He's
was at
smiling.
the exhibition basketball game and missed a teleconference the other day. Hope you had a safe trip back and enjoyed that trip. We're back at it, obviously, with another opportunity this week to go compete. Got a big challenge in Oxford. Lane has done a phenomenal job at Ole Miss of elevating that program and sustaining success just year after year. The way they just continue to just be one of the top teams. It's impressive. Credit to him. I was texting with another SEC coach about a week ago that had played Ole Miss this season, and I hadn't seen a whole lot of Ole Miss on tape at that point other than Kentucky because they had played Kentucky before we played Kentucky. And that coach that had played Ole Miss said it's amazing. As good as Ole Miss was last year, they're better this year. This coach that had played them, and then you turn on the tape and you see what he's talking about. The quarterback that has transferred in is playing at a really, really, really high level.
So I want to stop it. That's a concern for me right there. And this goes back to the conversation we had at 5:00 today about Beamer. He said he was texting with another SEC coach, and that coach said it's amazing when you watch them on tape that they're better this year with Trinidad Chambliss than they were with Jackson Dart last year.
Yeah.
Now, he don't mean just quarterback. He means as a roster overall. So, Diesel, I think it's interesting that Beamer brings that up because it goes back to what we just said in the 5:00 segment. Beamer and the Gamecocks had a really good year last year. They've had really good years before. How do you bridge that gap from having one good year to having consistent years? And again, I think that's that missing piece that we're talking about. This Ole Miss program, Diesel, Ole Miss is doing what South Carolina wants to do, and I think that's a concern.
Well, and they're doing it. This is what's interesting. I couldn't name off the top of my head Ole Miss's offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. They're doing it with relative unknowns at those positions. And Shane Beamer's doing it with ex-NFL guys and Mike Shula. Now, I mean, it's a swing. Every time you hire somebody new like that, it's always a risk. You never know exactly how they're going to be, especially when they're operating off of their resume from years ago. I mean, it makes sense in theory that Mike Shula would be a fine offensive coordinator at the college level. But I just, what impresses me about Ole Miss is maybe it's just because Lane Kiffin just sucks up all that attention that you don't hear about their OC in DC.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Because it does say something about their program and their consistency. Pete Golding is the defensive coordinator.
Okay.
Pete Golding, as we all know, spent time in Alabama as the defensive coordinator. You know who hired Pete Golding? Nick Saban. So he served as the defensive coordinator. He was promoted after being an assistant for like 2 years. He was at UTSA, Southern Miss, Delta State, Tusculum, and he worked his way up, Diesel, to being a premier coordinator in NCAA football, and Nick Saban hired him. What does Ole Miss do? In 2023, they go get the former Alabama DC. Pretty good, right?
And he would have been on staff at the same time as Lane Kiffin.
Correct. All right, well, ask me about the offense. Who's an offense? Who's the OC? Just the son of Charlie Weiss Jr. We all know Charlie Weiss. Look, the resume, a lot of it has to do with his dad. Now, he spent time at South Florida, right? He spent time at FAU. Weiss was with Jeff Scott, the former Clemson OC, at South Florida as Jeff Scott's OC and quarterbacks coach. So this guy's a good offensive coordinator. He's proven, has a proven track record, Diesel, and all of a sudden Lane Kiffin, who is a good coach, has got a really good DC and a really good OC.
When he's stacking really good talent around him, everything functions the way that it's supposed to.
So that's my whole thing. If Lane Kiffin can get those coordinators at Ole Miss, Beamer can get them at South Carolina. And we all want to believe in Beamer. We all want to believe he's the guy. I think he's got a great defensive coordinator in Clayton White. But he's got to go get an OC. He's got to go get a top-level, high-level OC. More Beamer.
The running back is a weapon, hardly ever comes off the field and just continues to produce. Receiving core is dynamic, size and athleticism at the offensive line position and tight end position. Great run after the catch skill on offense. Defensively, not a lot of new transfer portal guys that have come in on the back end, the back seven, but up front, a lot of the same guys that we went against last year. Four is a great pass rusher, and then the two tackles inside. It's not every day you line up and play a 6'8", 330-pound defensive tackle, but that's our challenge this week, and that'll be a challenge when we kick field goals too, because he's an absolute weapon on their field goal block team, being that long. So really impressive. Offensively, defensively, special teams wise, coaching, everything that they're doing, coming off a huge win in Norman, because we know what that Oklahoma team is about. And then we're going into another hostile environment on the road on a Saturday night in the SEC, but also an opportunity for our guys to go compete and looking forward to the challenge. So, know y'all got questions? Fire away.
I know y'all got questions.
They're really good offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. I just hope I could be their special teams coordinator one day.
Golly.
Jeez, what do you not like about him, Shane?
I mean, telling you what, he's a great guy.
Actually, pretty off topic here, but a story broke yesterday that said the 2027 USC Clemson football game could be played on a Friday or Thanksgiving weekend or the Saturday. If it went to a Friday, what would your opinion be?
Yeah, I saw that. That was news to me. Those are questions. I got more important matters to worry about right now, not when we're playing Clemson in 2027. Those are conversations, David, that Coach Tanner and I had, 2 years ago before the 23 season? Yeah, 23 season. There was talk about us potentially doing that. There was talk about the possibility of that happening last year. So I know it's been something that has been talked about at different times. I know Dabo has talked about it, his feelings, my feelings. You know, I'll always want to do what's best for the fans. I think it's great from an exposure standpoint because it would be the only game on. Everybody in the country was watching that Georgia Tech game last year that was on Friday night, including me, who stayed up way too late watching that game before a 12 noon kickoff at Clemson the next day. And I'm assuming our players were all up late, but
they still won.
Eyes of the country Friday night prime time. So there's a lot of positives from that standpoint. Certainly, you know, we're respectful of the high school programs that are playing playoff games on that weekend, potentially, or most likely, not just in South Carolina, but around. So I think there's a lot of different dynamics, but ultimately you want to do what's best for your team. You also want to do what's best for your fan base. And I think there's a lot of, you know, positives in it, and there's some drawbacks in it as well. But that's something that, you know, Jeremiah and I haven't even discussed, and that's down the road. So I don't think I really gave you an answer. I'm kind of indifferent towards it, and I see the positives on both ends of it.
Basically, we hadn't discussed that because I don't know if I'll be here when that happens. So there's no reason to discuss it. Right. No, all kidding aside, Dabo's made his thoughts very clear on it, Diesel, and a lot of it does have to do with high school being played on Friday nights. But I agree with Beamer. There's drawbacks, but there's also positives. The attention that you get nationally from being that Friday night game, I mean, he's right. Everybody's going to watch it in the country.
Yeah, it's such a back and forth, you know, ping pong match in my head. I mean, I would want to do what services our fans the best, and not at the expense of trying to get some national TV viewers.
Yeah.
I mean, who are you? If it's a recruiting tool, who are you trying to recruit on by being on that Friday night that you're not going to already have had contact with? I mean, is that going to help you all of a sudden land a 5-star that you otherwise wouldn't get? No, you probably bring it into the game. So I don't know. To me, it's what's best for the fan, and I don't like that so many games have come off of traditional Saturdays, and they've been sent into non-traditional locations. At first, it was the neutral site game. Now it's turning into international games. Stop taking things away from the fans, and meanwhile charging them more money for it.
I'm with you. I go back and forth. You know, would it be cool to have it on a Friday, be the only game? Sure, it would. But I also agree. I think what's best for the fans. I think that's the most important part.
Well,
I don't know. I think it's going to come, though. Don't you? I think it's going to happen.
I do. I do. These athletic directors, they don't think the same way we do. They think, how can we make more money? How can we put more eyeballs on our games? That's what they'll do.
Keith in TR, in quotes, says, Lane isn't a good job at being everything I'm not.
Ooh.
Keith, taking shots.
Wow.
Diesel, we have time for a phone call real quick?
Yeah, let's grab this caller real quick. And I want to remind you, Tolos, the Upset Picks Challenge is open, 844-326-3663. Send us your upset picks.
Let's go to the phone lines. I know the music's playing, but we'll go to the phone lines real quick before we go to break. Kevin wants to weigh in. What's up, Kevin?
What's up, Mr. Cole?
What's up, man?
I just got in late, but I heard the talk about, you know, changing venues and fields, and I just want to weigh in real quick on this this line in the contract between South Carolina and Clemson for a potential move to Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not good for our state. I mean, it might be good for them colleges and the ratings, and I get it, but high school football still matters to us. You get callers that want to talk to you about high school football all the time, and that's the upper state and the lower state championship weekend.
Mm.
Every team strives to play on Black Friday.
Sure.
You're playing on Black Friday, you have a chance to go to state championship. And we shouldn't have to choose as fans between watching Clemson and Carolina or going and supporting our high school team that we all love. And, you know me, I bleed black and gold, baby.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch the Gamecocks in Clemson if Gaffney miraculously is somehow playing on the upper state championship game. I can't do that.
That's a good point.
My heart's going there. So
yeah, I like it.
I know it's a money grab. I get why they're doing it, but my fear is that if they keep on with stuff like this, it's going to turn into the NBA and NFL games that are going overseas. They're not making the money. They're making television money, but the fans that don't get to go, it just, I don't like it. I'm dead set against it.
And I think that goes to, well, I appreciate it. And I think that goes to Diesel's point as well about, you know, doing what's best for the fans. I don't think the fans will like it.
And you're forcing thousands of fans to choose.
Thousands.
And some of them are going to choose you. Some of them are going to choose their high school games.
Good point. It's a good point. Let's do this. Speaking of high school, Kevin, other high school football fans out there, you'll like this coming your way. Lou Bezjak of the State Newspaper. Let's talk high school football playoff projections and more with Lou next.